I'm in GT, my brother is Broly. Chapter 326 With the help of Bupa, learning the language of God. Whis. Subconsciously, Beerus said, how many people with good potential are there in my 7th universe? As soon as these words came out, Son Goku and others also looked at Son Goku. Everyone understands what Beerus wants to do. Also understand the seriousness and importance of this matter. After all, once the All-Universe Conference is really opened, it is impossible for the number of participants to be only 5 or 6. In this case, their number is far from enough, and more manpower is needed. And it must be the existence of full potential, otherwise there is no need and possibility of cultivation. Master Beerus, it's a little embarrassing for me. In this regard, Whis waved his hand and said immediately, this matter should be asked about Supreme Kai. 35. After all, Supreme Kai is in charge of the universe, so if there is a potential existence, he must know better than me. Supreme Kai. Hearing this, Beerus nodded thoughtfully. Immediately afterwards, his expression changed slightly and he said, in that case, let's go to Supreme Kai as soon as possible. As soon as possible recruit a group of people for cultivation. It is necessary to cultivate it, and if Lord Zeno speeds up the whole universe conference, then we are really passive. 99. As soon as these words came out, Whis nodded immediately. He didn't even think about the whole universe conference, and was even a little surprised. Therefore, under such circumstances, he must improve it as soon as possible. As soon as he thought of this, Whis immediately said, so, let's go now. 35. Wait a moment. Seeing this, Bupa on the side quietly opened his mouth to stop it. Joke. Now that Whis is gone, that's definitely not good news for him. After all, Super Shenron wishing requires the language of God, which Bupa does not know. Therefore, in such a situation, he had to use the power of Whis and others to complete it. Thinking of this, Bupa immediately said, Whis, I have something I need your help with. Although the Super Dragon Ball belongs to me, but I don't know the language of God, I need to help me fulfill my wish. 5. Or maybe it was you who taught me the language of God. What do you think? As soon as these words came out, everyone in the arena looked at Whis and Bupa in astonishment. Super Dragon Ball wishing also requires a special language, which is really unexpected to them. But because of this, their hearts were also relieved. After all, Namek Dragon Ball needs Namek languages to be able to perform, and this is also true of Super Shenron. Thinking of this, the eyes of a group of people also subconsciously looked at where Whis was. At the same time, Beerus also looked at Whis. After all, it seems that Whis is leading the matter behind the scenes, and if that's the case, it's hardly surprising that the latter helps Bupa. In response, Whis took a deep look at Bupa and said, I can teach you the language of God. 99. But I want to know, who else in our 7th universe has the greatest potential? Mr. Bupa should know something. After all, before this, you found Frieza and Azer and his son, and their strength is extremely powerful. As soon as these words came out, Beerus's eyes suddenly lit up. Indeed, the previous Bupa had found Frieza and Azer before them. Even in a short period of time, it has been cultivated to 12th order combat power and 8th order combat power, which is definitely an existence that cannot be underestimated. Not only Beerus, but also Son Goku and others on the side are also showing their curiosity at this moment. In this regard, Bupa smiled indifferently and said without any hesitation, I can tell you 2 existences with great potential. Although the current strength of these 2 people is not very good, if they can cultivate it, they can reach the point where they are not inferior to Son Goku in a short period of time. What? 2 are not inferior to the existence of Son Goku et al. Hearing this, Beerus was overjoyed. Although Son Goku lost before, their strength is unquestionable. Now there are actually 2. If this is included under his command, it can completely enhance the strength of the 7th universe. Who is it? Almost instantly, Beerus asked. Up to now, he can't think about other things. 0 flowers. He didn't even bother to think about the possibility of a deal between Bupa and Whis. His main thing now is to solve the danger of the whole universe conference. The 18th and the 17th. With an indifferent smile, Bupa raised the corner of his mouth and said, they are androids and have the potential to make them powerful. It's just that number 18 and number 17 are now reclusive and have no intention of developing their own power at all. But it doesn't mean that they are weak. As long as they can help them constantly improve themselves, then the 18th and 17th can quickly become stronger. Even in a short period of time, it has reached the point of being comparable to Son Goku, Vegeta. 99. The most important thing is that, as artificial humans, they have infinite energy furnaces, and it can be said that no one in the same realm can be their opponent. After all, they have an infinite energy furnace, and they don't need to worry about their own strength being reduced or weakened. Besides, the potential of Majin Buu on Earth is also good. As long as it can be developed well, it will have the same strength as Son Goku and the others. 5. After listening to Bupa's remarks, Beerus took a deep breath, then Beerus looked overjoyed. 3. He actually said 3 potential existences at once. This also means that in addition to Son Goku, Vegeta, Son Gohan, Azer, Frieza and Bororian. There are 3 potential existences in his 7th universe. If it can be cultivated well, then there is no need to worry about the future all-universe conference. Thinking of this, Beerus immediately said, "Okay, Bupa, you really know a lot. Whis, teach him the language of God right away, and then we'll go to Earth. First cultivate Majin Buu, number 18 and number 17, and then let Supreme Kai find a few potential existences. Cultivating more strength and potential is good, and even if the whole universe conference really starts, we will be able to take the initiative." "Yes, Lord Beerus." With a promise, Whis did not refuse. Immediately afterwards, without hesitating, he immediately raised his scepter and began to teach Bupa God's language 7. Chapter 327 Summoning Super Shenron, The Rise of Broly. Moments later, Bupa succeeded in mastering the language of God. At this point, Whis stopped his movements, looked at Bupa and said, "Mr. Bupa, what you need has been taught to you. Next, then I'll wait and say goodbye." 35. After finishing speaking, Whis no longer hesitated, raised the scepter in his hand, and hurriedly left the place with Beerus, Son Goku and others. They can't wait to go to Earth now. Xeno's whim can't afford the slightest sloppiness. Even in such a situation, they must be 120,000 points of the spirit. In the blink of an eye, Whis and his party disappeared. Big Brother. When Whis and his party left, Broly stepped forward immediately. After arriving at Bupa's side, Broly said excitedly, "You have learned the word of God 273, does that mean we can summon that Super Shenron to make a wish? 35. Certainly. With an indifferent smile, Bupa glanced at Broly and said, "Let's go. It's time to summon the Super Shenron to solve your own hidden dangers." After saying that, Bupa jumped up and galloped away from the planet. Those 7 Super Dragon Balls are still floating in the universe, waiting for them to go. "Okay, Big Brother." 31. Seeing this, Broly was overjoyed, and immediately followed after him. He has also been looking forward to this Super Dragon Ball for a long time. Now that he finally found an opportunity, he naturally couldn't miss it. Once he can improve his own situation, Broly's strength will be enhanced again. This is an absolute must for Broly. Call out! Call out! The sound of breaking through the air resounded, and the figures of Bupa and Broly soon followed into universe. Looking at the Super Dragon Ball floating, Bupa's eyes flashed, and without any hesitation, he immediately said, "Come out Shenron, I want to send it." 35. With a resounding of the language of God, the Super Dragon Ball in the universe instantly became bright. In the next second, a golden radiance shone on universe. The 6th universe and the 7th universe were immediately covered by the huge body of Super Shenron. At this moment, Super Shenron opened his mouth and swallowed Bupa and Broly directly. With the brilliance of universe, the figures of Bupa and Broly appeared in front of the miniature version of Super Shenron. Is this Super Shenron? It's really not that big. 6699. Staring blankly at the Super Shenron in front of him, Broly opened his mouth wide in disbelief. He had seen Earth Shenron and Namek Shenron, but he couldn't compare to the huge Super Shenron in front of him. Even there is no comparison between the two at all. Compared with it, both Earth Shenron and Namek Shenron are like little bugs. Has it started yet? This is Super Shenron. At the same time, Champa, Beerus and others who were returning to their respective universes also saw the Super Shenron that appeared. For a time, everyone's face also showed a look of horror. Such a huge Super Shenron. It has to span 2 universes to be able to include it, which shows its own power and terror. For a time, both Beerus and Champa felt a little remorse in their hearts. Knowing that Super Shenron is so powerful, they would have collected it before to strengthen their own strength. However, under such circumstances, they have no choice. Even now they have absolutely no chance of taking the Super Shenron's wishing power. After all, they have all been gone for so long, and if they are going back, I am afraid that Bupa has already completed his wish. Say your wish. Any wish will do. Within the universe, Super Shenron looked at Bupa and asked without hesitation. It is good. With a promise, Bupa no longer hesitated, and stepped forward and said, "Please also solve the drawbacks of my own evil Saiyan bloodline and super bloodline for my brother Broly. Originally, I just wanted to solve the drawbacks of Broly's runaway, but after thinking about it, Bupa still felt that this matter should be solved fundamentally. Therefore, in such a situation, only by completely eliminating the problem of Broly's bloodline can it become stronger. The most important thing is that once the problem of Broly's bloodline is solved, his own bloodline will also become stronger. At that time, Bupa will also be able to get 10 times the return, so that he can take his top-level Quan Jiao bloodline to a higher level." "No problem." Nodding, Super Shenron glanced at Broly, and immediately started to act. With the golden brilliance of his eyes, the evil aura that Broly covered all over his body spewed out at this moment. A badge. The screams resounded. Broly's body trembled violently at this moment, and his face was hideous and looked extremely painful. But Bupa was not worried. He knew that this was Super Shenron's solution to the drawbacks of Broly's bloodline. Therefore, as long as it persists for a period of time, Broly will inevitably become stronger. Thinking of this, Bupa waited patiently. With the passage of time, The evil aura around Broly became more and more intense. Even in a short period of time, Broly's whole body was filled with strong and depressing fluctuations. Click. Suddenly, a shattering sound resounded. It can be seen that the tail behind Broly breaks quietly at this moment. Before Bupa came back to his senses, a grass-green splendor could be seen, and Broly's broken tail grew again. But this time, Broly's tail is no longer black, but grass-green. Under such circumstances, Broly's own chi surged and grew in an instant. In just a few breaths, Broly's basic combat power soared to the point of 8 streams. 0.7. After doing all this, Broly's terrifying oppression swept out. It can be seen that its tightly closed eyes are opened, and the A's have turned light green, and even faint green hairs have begun to emerge all over the body. It gives the impression that it has entered the state of Quan Jiao 4, but it has obviously not reached that point. Moreover, Broly in this form is obviously the norm, and has not launched any super ace and super transformations at all. Your wish has been fulfilled. At this moment, the voice of Super Shenron resounded quietly. We will have an appointment in the future. 99. In the next second, the Super Shenron shone brightly. It can be seen that its body dissipated, and the 7 planet-sized Super Dragon Balls flew directly into the 6th universe and the 7th universe. Chapter 328 Rank 11 Basic Combat Power, Transforming Saiyan of Evil, disappeared. 1 more year to go. 35. Seeing this scene, Bupa's eyes flashed brightly, and his inner emotions also looked forward to it. According to the records of the original work, it will not be long after 1 year is the time when the whole universe conference will be held. Before that, if he takes away the Super Dragon Ball, it will definitely affect Zeno's plan, and then carries. What exactly do you want to do? Have you guessed this possibility years ago? For a time, Bupa's expression changed. If that's the case, then it's definitely not a good thing for Curse to want him to bring back the Super Dragon Ball. It may even be a trap and a plan set by Callus. But from the current situation, he couldn't see what was wrong. After pondering for a while, Bupa's eyes turned to Broly beside him. The bloodline improvement this time made his strength soar, even reaching the level of 2 streams. 2 Jian's basic combat power, which also means that Broly's own ultimate combat power will reach about 13th order. In this way, Broly already has a combat power that surpasses Gods of Destruction, and it can be said that it is definitely the top existence. Ding. Detecting the bound character, Broly's combat power increased by 2 streams to trigger 10 times the return. Congratulations to the host for increasing the combat power of 20 streams. 35. The system beeps loudly. Bupa only felt a shock all over his body, and then his own combat power increased by 20 streams. Immediately afterwards, under the blessing of the mysterious state, the combat power of Bupa 20 stream increased by 1000 times again. In an instant, Bupa's entire basic combat power increased from more than 1000 streams to a level of 2.2. 2,2 positive basic combat power. Good, very good. Feeling the fluctuation of his own power, the corners of Bupa's mouth rose and his eyes were full of joy. Rank 11's basic combat power, combined with his transformation, his combat power can reach the middle stage from the early stage within the 15th rank. According to Bupa's calculations, the combat power of each stage is divided into 4 stages: single digit, tens digit, hundreds digit and thousands digit. Among them, the single digit combat power is the initial stage, the 10-digit combat power is the middle stage, the 100-digit combat power is the late stage, and the 1000-digit combat power is the perfection. According to his current rapid combat power, he is in the early stage of the 11th order. Similarly, Broly's combat power is also in the early stage of tier 10. At this moment, a low roar resounded. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that Broly's body is surrounded by surging auras swept out. Under the influence of this power, Broly exuded an extremely terrifying sense of oppression. In just a few breaths, the grass-green chi around Broly has grown. In just a few breaths, the hair on Broly's body has grown out completely. Even under such circumstances, Broly looked extremely special in appearance. Ding. The bloodline of the bound character is upgraded to the top level Quan Cow bloodline to trigger 10 times the return. Ding. The bloodline of the bound character Saiyan of Evil is upgraded to the Saiyan of Inferior Evil, and the trigger returns 10 times. The system beeps loudly. Bupa didn't even have time to react, and then the whole body's blood vessels boiled. In an instant, Bupa could clearly feel that his top-level Quan Jiao bloodline was being strengthened again. Under such circumstances, his basic combat power of 2 and 2 was increased rapidly, and he reached the stage of 4 in just a few breaths. This is just the beginning. As the power of the evil Saiyan bloodline began to combine with himself, the evil energy in Bupa also began to flow out. But this evil aura didn't pose a big threat to Bupa either. Even in just a few breaths, the evil power was completely integrated with its own power. Under such circumstances, Bupa clearly felt his body strengthen again. Although there is no increase in chi and divine power, no matter whether it is strength, defense, speed or the rest, it has also been greatly improved. It can be said that his physique is now several times, or even more than 10 times, as before. Interesting. 35. The Saiyan bloodline of evil. It still has such an effect. Surprised inside, there was a hint of surprise in Bupa's eyes, and he started to check his own information without hesitation. Bupa, race, Saiyan of evil, bloodline, top level super bloodline, medium evil Saiyan bloodline. Combat strength, 4 positive, 11th order. Transformation, anger state, advanced, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan mode, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan pink, Super Saiyan middle. God form. Ability, Kaioken, Ultra Instinct, Time Flash, Final Flash. No big changes. It's just that this race has also become the Saiyan of evil. It seems that the improvement this time is mainly due to changes in blood vessels and heals. It can also be said that my potential after becoming Saiyan, the evil one, is stronger than before. Muttering in his mouth, a look of satisfaction flashed in Bupa's eyes. Although this matter is not a big problem, it is also good news for him. Brother. At this time, Broly was already awake. After feeling his own situation, he looked at Bupa excitedly and said, I succeeded. Big brother 277, I really fully grasp this power. 55. And the evil spirit of Saiyan, the evil one, was completely grasped by me. At this moment, Broly was very excited. The shackles that have always been there are broken. Not only was the evil spirit mastered, but even his supernatural power was completely unlocked. Under such circumstances, Broly's rage state has also reached a high level, which can increase his combat power by 1000 times. In addition, the increase of Broly's super mode has been increased from 100 times to 1000 times. The transformation of Quan Jiao 2 is a 1000-fold increase from the original one, which is definitely a substantial improvement. Hearing this, Bupa came back to his senses, looked at Broly who was very excited, and immediately said, don't be impatient. The most important thing for you now is to completely master this power. Next, you first try to transform into a state of anger, a super mode. Only by mastering it thoroughly can you control this power stably. After all, with your significant improvement this time, if you can't stabilize it as soon as possible, there will inevitably be problems. 5. Yes, sir. Hearing this, Broly nodded immediately. He also understands that his strength has been greatly improved this time, and he must find an opportunity to cultivate and polish it properly. Chapter 329 Traveling to the 7th Universe. The Terrified Z Warriors. Big brother. After a little pondering, Broly immediately said, where are we going now? Go directly to Earth, or to the world of gods of destruction? 39. Hearing this, Bupa frowned. Going to Earth is a must. After all, he still needs to ask Bulma to help create a radar that can find Super Dragon Ball within the universe. But if he went to Earth now, he would still meet Beerus and the others. This is not what Bupa wants to see. After all, he knew very well that if he went to see Beerus and others at this time, he would definitely be questioned. The main thing is that he still needs to avoid suspicion for a while now. After Son Goku, Vegeta fully realized his own inadequacies, then he reappeared to be able to directly subdue the two. You must know that he has seen the reactions of Son Goku and Vegeta before, and it is clear that the two have actually moved their hearts. It's just that because of some things, it is not easy for them to speak directly at the moment, or even to surrender directly to themselves. Thinking of this, Bupa's eyes flashed, and he said, you don't have to go back yet, Broly. It's been a while since we came to this 7th universe. I'll take you around the 7th universe in the next few months to see what's different from the world we live in. In addition, during this period of time, you should also sharpen your own strength. After you have thoroughly sharpened it, you will be able to truly fear nothing. Good, big brother. Hearing this, Broly nodded. He could see that Bupa didn't want to go to Earth or to the gods of destruction world right now. Although I don't know why, Broly doesn't disobey Bupa's choices and orders. Immediately, Bupa and Broly no longer hesitated, and immediately began to wander in the universe. At the other end, Whis, Beerus and their group successfully reached the Earth. After arriving at the Universal Capsule Company, Beerus said directly, Son Goku, you go and find number 17, number 18 and Majin Buu here. Yes, Lord Beerus. Hearing this, Son Goku nodded immediately. He understood the seriousness of the matter. Immediately afterwards, Son Goku seemed to have thought of something, and subconsciously looked at Son Gohan and said, Gohan, Majin Buu is at Satan's house, go and bring him here. 5. I went to number 18 and only she knows where number 17 is now. Okay, Dad. With a promise, Son Gohan did not refuse. Although Vegeta has a good relationship with them, Son Gohan still cares about what happened last time. To be honest, if it wasn't for Son Goku, he really didn't want to be here. Immediately, Son Goku and Son Gohan left the Magnum Capsule Company in a hurry, but Beerus didn't care about this, and after the two left, he let Bulma and others start preparing and eating food. At the same time, Bororian, Frieza, and Azer also stayed here. They are not familiar with the Earth. There are no friends on Earth, and naturally there is no need to leave anything. The most important thing is that Beerus is here now, and they can't leave casually. The whole universe conference, this is definitely a fatal thing, so you must prepare well. Moments later, Bulma had the food ready. A group of people were eating and drinking in the courtyard. Master Beerus. After eating for a while, Frieza said quietly, "Is this all-universe conference really going to start? What on earth is that Zeno-sama thinking?" "Shut up, 35. Hearing this, Beerus' hair stood on end, and he glared at Frieza and said, "It's not allowed to mention that Lord's name. And none of you are allowed to mention his existence in the future." Speaking of this, Beerus' body couldn't help trembling, and it was obvious that the fear of Zeno was etched in his bones. Yes. Seeing this, Frieza and the others were slightly taken aback. But it soon became apparent that Beerus was afraid of the latter. "The all-universe conference will open." 35. At this time, Whis on the side quietly explained, "And the existence of failure will be extremely ugly." 35. Although I don't know what the punishment will be at this time, but a similar thing happened a long time ago. 995. As soon as these words came out, Beerus and others looked at Whis in astonishment. After all, they don't know anything about these things. "Whis, what about when?" 35. Subconsciously, Beerus then asked, his eyes full of worry, "What will happen to them?" 35. The underdog universe was wiped out. Seeing Beerus and the others, Whis didn't give a shit, and immediately said, "And there are as many as 6 universes that were wiped out all at once." "What? 6 universes were erased?" Huoran got up. Vegeta and the others were pale, and their eyes were full of incredible colors. Whis, what about gods of destruction?" Beerus felt a strong sense of unease and asked cautiously. "Of course it was also wiped out." Glancing at Beerus, Whis said indifferently, "Except for Angel, all the creatures and gods in those 6 universes have been erased." Not only that, the angels of the 6 universes were also punished for their failures, and were immediately exiled from the main universe world, becoming the fallen angels who were exiled. After listening to Whis' story, Beerus was completely dumbfounded. Even gods of destruction and Supreme Kai have been wiped out. Doesn't that mean the same is likely to be true for this universal conference? If this is the case, doesn't that mean that all 7th universes are likely to be wiped out at that time? Damn it! I knew this was not a good thing. To Zhao Zhao, that guy Kakarot, it's his fault again. For a moment, Vegeta gritted her teeth, her eyes full of suffocation and unwillingness. "Although I knew that the all-universe conference was not a good thing when I was in the competition place before, I didn't expect it to be so dangerous. Now that they have reached such a level, it also means that if this matter is slightly inadvertent, what awaits them is complete death." Thinking of this, Vegeta subconsciously clenched his fists and said, "Whis, how many people participated in that competition?" As soon as these words came out, everyone also looked at where Whis was. The number of participants in the last competition is likely to be the same as this time. If they can know, then they can also prepare in advance. 10 people. Glancing at Vegeta, Whis immediately said, "There were 10 contestants in those universe last time." Chapter 330. The arrival of Majin Buu. Read me on the 18th. 10 people. Hearing this, the expressions of Vegeta and the others changed slightly. If it's just 10 people, that's definitely good news for 7th universe. After all, there are already 9 candidates for them now. If they only find 10 people to participate in the competition, they only need to find 1. Thinking of this, Vegeta immediately said excitedly, "So, then we have full hope. As long as you are looking for someone to cultivate, then you will be able to deal with the entire universe conference." Hearing this, Azer and the others also nodded. As Vegeta said, just looking for 1 person can completely solve this problem. Thinking of this, their eyes also turned to Beerus, and said, "Lord Beerus, as long as we can find someone, that should be enough." 1. Hearing this, Beerus cast a glance at Vegeta and the others, and then said without hesitation, "How is that possible? Just this is enough. We must select more strong players." After all, the previous all-universe conference was only 10 people, but this time who knows how many people will be needed. In order to ensure the safety of the 7th universe, we must find more potential existences to cultivate. As soon as these words came out, Vegeta and the others all that nodded. As Beerus said, they have to take precautions before they happen. After all, if this matter is a little careless, what awaits them is likely to be the destruction of universe, and even the annihilation of themselves. Thinking of this, Azer immediately said, "But apart from number 17, number 18 and Majin Buu on Earth, are there any strong people in the universe?" "Lord Beerus, didn't you say you wanted to ask Supreme Kai? Why didn't you ask him to ask?" For Supreme Kai, Azer has no respect or disrespect. He believes in the strong. This Supreme Kai is obviously not a strong man, so Azer doesn't have much interest in the latter. Good. Nodding his head, Beerus looked at Whis and said, "Whis contacted Supreme Kai and asked him to come over. 35. Just ask him about things within the universe." "Yes, Lord Beerus." Hearing this, Whis did not dare to neglect, and immediately contacted Supreme Kai. Call out, call out." At this time, the sound of breaking the air followed the sound of car. Looking at the prestige, we can see that on the 18th, The Kalin family came in a hurry. In addition, Son Gohan has also brought Majin Buu to the Universal Capsule Company. Soon, their figures entered the courtyard. Seeing the person coming, Vegeta and others were all refreshed. Immediately afterwards, Beerus' eyes locked on number 18 and Majin Buu, and said, "Is this the person Bupa said?" Majin Buu is not bad. I can clearly feel that you have a lot of potential, not even inferior to Son Goku. But what's the situation with number 18? A woman, and her strength seems to be around tens of billions, which is not enough to become a strong person. 35. As soon as these words came out, Aze and others also frowned. To be honest, for the appearance of number 18, they can't see that there is anything worth cultivating in the latter. Master Beerus. At this time, Son Gohan walked forward with Majin Buu, and immediately said, Aunt 18 is an artificial human. She and Uncle number 17 don't need to cultivate too much, and there is still a big upper limit. But the premise is that they can evolve. If not, there is indeed no further possibility. Hearing this, Beerus frowned. He doesn't know anything about androids. But since Bupa said it, it means that the latter should not be underestimated. After pondering for a while, Beerus then asked, Number 18, can you continue to become stronger? Get stronger? 35. Looking at Beerus, number 18 was not too surprised, but more puzzled. Why should I become stronger? The Son Goku guy just made us come here and say there's something important to say. Now he should be looking for number 17, but we still don't know what happened. As soon as these words came out, Klin nodded and asked cautiously, Lord Beerus, did something major happen? Number 18 is my wife. She doesn't like her android identity, so she. Having said that, Kling did not continue to speak. But everyone has already understood the meaning, that is, the 18th has no self-motivation, and there is no meaning to continue to become stronger. Hearing this, Vegeta and the others were dumbfounded. If the 18th refuses, then this matter is really not good news for them. After a little pondering, Vegeta said quietly, Number 18, you can't be like this. 99. Now it's about the future of the entire universe. If we can't gather enough powerhouses, our universe may be wiped out. 35. At that time, not only us, but the entire universe, life and planets will be completely wiped out. After hearing Vegeta's words, number 18 and Krillin couldn't help taking a deep breath. Although I know it's serious, but they never imagined that things would be so serious. You must know that the survival of the entire universe is more serious than the survival of an Earth. What the hell happened? Subconsciously, number 18 asked this. Looking at each other, Vegeta and the others no longer hesitated, and immediately told the whole universe conference. After listening to Vegeta and others, number 18 and Krillin were completely dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, there is a more terrifying existence above gods of destruction, and this terrifying existence can also erase the universe, as long as the other party is angered. The entire universe will be broken. You guys. Opening his mouth, on the 18th. He didn't know how to complain for a while. Never thought that this matter would change so unexpectedly, and even become so difficult. Involuntarily, number 18's expression changed several times, and then he said, Actually, our androids do have the possibility of continuing to grow stronger. For example, in the cell of the year, there are more artificial humans, but the technical reasons have led to some limitations on our own. But if we can continue to make technological breakthroughs and transform our own genes and capabilities, then we can indeed become stronger wirelessly in a sense. Chapter 331 Beerus lure number 18, Artificial Saiyan, infinitely stronger. It really can. Hearing this, the expressions of everyone present changed, especially Vegeta et al. They only know this now. If this is the case, doesn't it mean that number 18 and number 17 can even surpass them quickly? It is good. Very good. At this time, Beerus was overjoyed. After learning the information about the artificial man, he already had a bold idea in his heart at this moment. Immediately afterwards, Beerus turned his head to look at Whis and said, Whis, can you go and get one of Vado's hair? Since the artificial human is cultivated and evolved with genes, if she can combine with Vado's cells, it can be powerful to an extremely terrifying level. Even if he can't become an angel, his potential and strength will soar rapidly, and even surpassing Vegeta and others is not a problem. As soon as these words came out, Aze and the others were also breathing rapidly. If it is as Beerus said, then this thing is really feasible. Even once number 18 has fused the Vado's cell, her strength is bound to reach an extremely terrifying level. No. Hearing this, Whis shook his head and looked at Beerus. Angel cells are not allowed to be stolen. 35. And there are genetic codes and shackles in angel cells, even if it is a completed fusion. Unless she is decrypted by the big angel, or even decrypted by the grand priest, it is impossible to fuse with it. What? Hearing this, Beerus was immediately disappointed. I thought that letting the androids ascend to the sky in one step would improve the lack of powerhouses in the 7th universe, but now it seems that there is no possibility at all, and Beerus is depressed for a while. But Angel can't, but Saiyan and Frozen Demon can too. However, before Beerus was disappointed, Whis was the first to speak. There is no doubt about Saiyan's bloodline. If she confused with her, she will soon be able to complete her transformation with the assistance of Son Goku and others, and even enter the stage of Super Saiyan. Besides, the bloodline of the frozen demon race is also good, but there are certain drawbacks, and it takes years, decades, or even hundreds of years to freeze. But we don't have that much time right now, so the best option right now is the Saiyan bloodline. Having said that, Whis' eyes then turned to where Bororian and Son Gohan were. Now within Saiyan, apart from Bupa and Broly, the strongest are Son Gohan and Bororian. The blood of the two is also extremely terrifying. If number 18 confuse with them, the effect is definitely not bad. A Saiyan bloodline. Nodding thoughtfully, Beerus looked at Son Gohan and Myuu next to him and said, "Would you two be willing to give out some of your cells to number 18 to help her improve herself?" Hearing this, Son Gohan and Myuu were a little stunned. They don't care about giving each other cells, but they are all men, so what's the point of asking them to give number 18 cells? Hey. Seeing this situation, number 18 was a little anxious, and subconsciously said, "I didn't promise you." Although the entire universe conference is related to the safety of the entire universe, I don't want to be Saiyan, let alone continue to become stronger. As soon as these words came out, Vegeta and the others frowned. 18 does not agree. This is definitely not good news. Woman, you don't have to go too far. However, before number 18 could continue to say anything, Beerus on the side was the first to speak. "If you don't agree, then I will destroy you and the two guys next to you. On the other hand, if you agree to even help the 7th universe win at the Audiouniverse conference, then I can give you two mortals a chance. There are not many people who become gods in the universe, but there are still many gods. If you can help the 7th universe win, then I can make your husband and children gods. In this way, they will all become stronger, and there will be almost no limit to their lifespan. You're an android that won't grow old or die, but they're different. Do you want to watch them die before you? Think about your children dying in the future, and maybe even grandchildren, granddaughters and others will die in front of you. Do you have the heart? .0 for flowers 0. Hiss. As soon as these words came out, Son Gohan and the others all looked at Beerus subconsciously. Never thought that he would actually say such words. However, there was nothing wrong with his threat, and even under the temptation of becoming a god, everyone, including Frieza, was moved. Become a god. Although there will be no ability to become stronger, but it will also give them wireless life. Under such circumstances, they can even become stronger. Gudu. After swallowing, the 18th couldn't help but be moved. As Beerus said, she couldn't accept the fact that Krillin and her children died in front of her. And human lifespan is too short. Although she is also a human being, she is also an artificial human being, immortal, which cannot be changed. I promise. Taking a deep breath, number 18 looked at Beerus and said, "Lord Beerus, please remember the terms of your promise to me." I choose Son Gohan cells. But if you want to upgrade and perfect it, at least you have to find a scientist to help. Although Bulma is good, it's not enough in the technology of androids. Only Dr. and Dr. Myuu in the underworld have such power. Dr. Jiro and Dr. Myuu. Nodding thoughtfully, Beerus looked aside and said to Whis, "Whis, you go and tell Supreme Kai to bring these two people out of the underworld before he comes." "Yes, Lord Beerus." With a promise, Whis contacted Supreme Kai again. Call out. At this moment, two piercing sounds resounded. Looking at the reputation, Son Goku and number 17 can be seen hurriedly approaching. After arriving at the inside area, Son Goku immediately said, "Yo, everyone is here." Number 18, have you talked to Lord Beerus? Cut. Hearing this, number 18 turned away Son Goku with a displeased look on his face. She could hear it. Son Goku made the previous All-Universe conference. Although it is Xeno's will, Son Goku's cooperation is the most critical, and it is also the key to the opening of the entire universe conference. Chapter 332 The Return of Dr. and Dr. Myuu. The three candidates for Supreme Kai. With the arrival of Son Goku, all the warriors on Earth have been successfully assembled. Immediately afterwards, Beerus looked at Majin Buu and said, "Majin Buu, you have a lot of potential," and then follow Azer and Frieza to practice. You are all of the evil lineage. If you have them assist you in your cultivation, you will definitely become stronger quickly. Besides that, I will teach you the power of gods of destruction in the coming days, and you should be able to master Beerus. However, it wasn't until Beerus finished. Whis on the side said quietly, "I suggest that Majin Buu practice Supreme Kai power." Hearing this, Beerus, Son Goku and others also subconsciously looked at Whis with puzzled eyes. You must know that although gods of destruction and Supreme Kai are both top-level divine powers, 280 is logically more powerful than gods of destruction, which is more suitable for Majin Buu. Why, 35. After a little pondering, Beerus opened his mouth and asked, "This guy is obviously an evil person, and the cultivation of gods of destruction is the strongest." No. Waving his hand, Whis took a deep look at Majin Buu and said, "Majin Buu is indeed an evil person. But he's not the original Buu, let alone the evil Buu. but the good Buu fused with the great Supreme Kai. 35. He doesn't have much evil in himself, but his own breath is evil. In the end, Majin Buu is a false god, and if he learns the power of Supreme Kai, the power of the Supreme Kai will be absorbed and mastered by him quickly. 5. Once he masters the power of the great Supreme Kai, combined with his own potential and strength, then he will definitely become a stronger existence. Even he can surpass Son Goku, Frieza, Vegeta in a short period of time. If given enough time, he could even reach the level of Bororian, Azer and Son Gohan. I see. After listening to Whis' remarks, Beerus and others suddenly realized. Immediately afterwards, Beerus said in surprise, "Okay, then you will practice with Son Gohan in the future, and I will let Supreme Kai pass on your Supreme Kai power." 99. It is good. Hearing this, Majin Buu did not refuse. He also understands that he has no right to refuse, and he can clearly remember the previous battle on the sea. On the other hand, the faces of Son Goku, Vegeta and Frieza were a bit ugly at this moment. Not for anything else, because what Whis just said made them all feel a strong dissatisfaction. The unpleasant mood stems from the fact that the three of them are inferior, completely incomparable to Bororian, Azer and Son Gohan. This is not to say that they are weak themselves, but because of their bloodline, they will be suppressed to such an extent. However, there is nothing they can do at the moment, which makes Son Goku, Vegeta and Frieza extremely unwilling. Zizzy. At this moment, a space vibrated. Immediately afterwards, Supreme Kai can be seen appearing in the area of the venue with Dr. Rung Dr. Myuu. Master Beerus. Stepping forward, Supreme Kai clenched his fists and did not dare to neglect. Meet Supreme Kai Lord. Have seen Lord Supreme Kai. At the same time, Son Goku and others also saluted Supreme Kai. Although the latter's strength is not very good, but the status is also placed there. They do not dare to make mistakes. Nodding, Beerus glanced at Supreme Kai, and then said, "The two guys next to you are Dr. Rung Dr. Myuu. The two of you will extract Son Gohan cells right now, and then help me with the upgrades for 18th and 17th. I need you to dig out their limits thoroughly. Can you do it?" This, facing Beerus' orders, Dr. Rung Dr. Myuu hesitated at the moment. Although they knew the status of the guy in front of them was extraordinary, they were not very afraid at the moment. After all, they have all died once. Can the latter continue to kill themselves? Dr. Myuu. Seeing this, Vegeta on the side seemed to see through their thoughts, and immediately said, "Master Beerus is the gods of destruction. If he destroys you, then you will be completely wiped out with no possibility of recovery. Even in the underworld, you can't have a place. On the contrary, if you can help, then Lord Beerus can make you live well in the underworld. Hearing this, Dr. Rung Dr. Myuu were completely dumbfounded. Total destruction. Fly ash annihilation. The guy in front of him was so terrifying. After looking at each other, the two of them didn't care about anything else, so they quickly bowed and saluted. "We are willing to help." 5. But we don't have the equipment and materials. We need you to prepare. No problem. 35. Hearing this, Vegeta breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately afterwards, he looked at the two and said, "Just tell the people from Universal Capsules what you need." 5. Also, you're not allowed to play tricks when you remodel numbers 18 and 17. If you let me know that you are messing around, then I will definitely make you regret coming to the world. 39. It is good. Hearing this, Dr. Rung Dr. Myuu nodded. Up to now, they also understand that they have no room for resistance. After looking at each other, they immediately said, "Son Gohan, number 18, number 17, let's go." 55. Good. 35. Hearing this, the three Son Gohan did not refuse. They also understand the seriousness of the matter. Even on the 17th, who didn't know the situation yet, after seeing that the 18th agreed, he didn't hesitate. In the blink of an eye, Son Gohan and his party left the place. Supreme Kai. Immediately afterwards, Beerus looked at Supreme Kai and said, "When you go back later, take Majin Buu and Son Gohan to practice within the Supreme Kai world." 99. Let the old Supreme Kai teach the Majin Buu Supreme Kai power and completely awaken the divine power of the big Supreme Kai within him. Yes. With a promise, Supreme Kai gave Majin Buu a frightened look. After all, the guy in front of him was the existence that devoured the great Supreme Kai and the three Supreme Kais in the north, south and west. However, he didn't dare to disobey and refute Beerus. He pondered a little. "Lord Beerus, I've already got some eyebrows about the candidate you mentioned. According to the narration of our ancestors, the only ones with good potential in our 7th universe are Cooler in Hell, Pork Ribs Rice and Piccolo on Earth. Besides that, although the people on the other planets are also good in strength, their potential is not at all enough." Chapter 333. Hurry up for half a year, The Secret Art of Atrad. Ribs with rice. Piccolo. After listening to Supreme Kai's remarks, Beerus frowned. He doesn't know how Cooler and Pork Ribs are, but he also knows how powerful Piccolo is. To be honest, Piccolo's strength is not even as strong as number 17 and number 18. Can this be said to be full of potential? When will the potential powerhouses in our 7th universe be gone? For a moment, Beerus spoke with great dissatisfaction. As soon as these words came out, Vegeta and the others all frowned. If it was before, they probably wouldn't care. But under the current circumstances, they also understand what the lack of potential powerhouses means. The most important thing is that the 6th universe has Saiyan race. Almost all of them are Super Saiyans per capita. Compared with the 6th universe, it is very difficult for the 7th universe to find enough people. Lord Beerus. 35. At this time, Supreme Kai said quietly, Cooler's potential is not inferior to Frieza, and in a sense, 20 is stronger than Frieza. As long as you practice hard enough to surpass Frieza. The potential of Pork Ribs is also good. He is also a special race, but it has been wiped out. But as long as he develops his potential, he can at least reach the combat power of about 7th rank. 99. As for Piccolo, his potential is more powerful, and as a Namek, he can actually evolve like Saiyan. According to the story of the ancestors, as long as enough time and cultivation are given, Piccolo can also reach the 7th order or 8th order strength. Hearing this, Beerus nodded. Immediately afterwards, Beerus said, if that's the case, then this matter is settled. Add Supreme Kai, you go and bring the Cooler and Pork Ribs. Son Goku, you go and recruit Piccolo. After the personnel are gathered, we will go to the Gods of Destruction world to practice. Yes, yes, promise. Supreme Kai and Son Goku dare not neglect. After looking at each other, the two left in a hurry. After about an hour, Supreme Kai and Son Goku returned. With their return, Cooler, Pork Ribs, Rice and Piccolo also came to the courtyard. Without any hesitation, Beerus led a group of people to the Gods of Destruction world, and Son Gohan, Majin Buu went to Supreme Kai world to practice. Time flies. More than half a year has passed in the blink of an eye. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The planet Atrad, where the figures of Bupa and Broly are constantly fighting. During the past 6 months, Bupa and Broly traveled within universe for a while. But the 7th universe didn't have much fun, so they didn't stay too long. Almost after arriving on a planet, they only stay for 2 or 3 days and leave. In the end, Bupa brought Broly directly to the planet Atrad. Within the planet Atrad, there are countless special skills, such as fusion, such as instant transmission and other means. Although Bupa doesn't care much about these means, Broly lacks them too. This also led to the two of them cultivating their own strengths on the planet Atrad during this period of time. Bang! A roar resounded, and Broly's figure fell from midair and smashed to the ground. The next second, Bupa's figure appeared in the area in front of Broly. After looking at it for a while, Bupa said, Broly, are you still going? Brother, I admit defeat. With a wry smile, Broly stood up from the ground. After patting his own dust, Broly glanced helplessly at Bupa and said, Brother, you are too strong. I've done my best. Even with Ultra Instinct, I'm not a match for you. Having said this, Broly's eyes were full of envy and yearning. He has already cast Ultra Instinct, but Bupa has only cast his transformation state. But under the suppression of such a force, even Broly under Ultra Instinct is no match for Bupa. It doesn't have to be. Hearing this, Bupa smiled indifferently, then looked at Broly on the ground and said, your strength is already very strong now. It's just that you haven't completely mastered your own power. Whether it's Ultra Instinct or the rest of you, you've only reached the level of mastery, and haven't reached the true sense of completeness. Especially Ultra Instinct. There are certain limitations to this thing itself. 35. This also leads to the fact that although your current strength is sufficient, your fighting consciousness has not completely kept up. 995. Hearing this, Broly nodded thoughtfully. Immediately afterwards, Broly said, Brother, I understand. This is because I have too few fights. I need to find more people to fight and take full control of my power. 99. Hearing this, Bupa nodded. As Broly said, he needs to fight, and he needs more fights to stabilize his strength. Although Bupa can also help him improve, to be honest, the gap between the two sides is still a bit big. This also led to the current situation. Broly fighting with him 280, barely any improvement. After all, Bupa's strength and skills are far higher than Broly's, and even if he deliberately releases water, it is difficult to achieve real suppression. In addition, Broly knew that Bupa would not kill him, which also led to his sense of crisis without real meaning. Thinking of this, Bupa said, if that's the case, then it's almost time for us to leave. You have already learned about the secret arts on the planet Atrad. 35. The next thing you need is to master it skillfully, and you don't need to continue wasting time here. Hearing this, Broly nodded immediately. As Bupa said, he has already learned the secret art of the planet Atrad. Although there are still a lot of people who haven't studied, but they are not strong and not suitable for his Broly cultivation. Thinking of this, Broly stood up from the ground and said, Brother, where are we going next? Go straight to the Gods of Destruction world. With Azer's current strength, it should be enough to fight me, and it is a good sparring partner. Hearing this, Bupa nodded thoughtfully. As Broly said, now the 7th universe seems to be the only opponent that can be called Azer. In addition, Beerus is also an existence that can compete with Broly. Chapter 334 Making Super Dragon Ball Radar, Attacking Majin Buu. Thinking of this, Bupa no longer hesitated, and said directly, so, let's set off for the Gods of Destruction world now. There's just less than half a year left. But before that, we have to make a trip to Earth. The Super Dragon Ball will be back in less than half a year, and I need a Dragon Ball radar that can find them. 99. Hearing this, Broly nodded immediately. His face at the moment was also solemn. He knew very well that when Bupa got the Super Dragon Ball, they should leave the place with him. Therefore, in the next time, he must improve and strengthen himself as soon as possible. After leaving the 7th universe, I am afraid that no one can be his opponent when he returns to the GT world. After all, compared to the power of everyone in the 7th universe, the ultimate combat power in GT universe is only Super Saiyan 4. Immediately, both Bupa and Broly no longer hesitated. With the launch of instant transmission, Bupa and Broly disappeared on the planet Atrad. Earth, Universal Capsules Incorporated. Zizzy, the space shook, and the figures of Bupa and Broly appeared in the courtyard. Ha ha. At the same time, a low roar resounded. Looking around, you can see Son Goten and Trunks, two little guys fighting in the middle of the courtyard at the moment. The battle between the two is extremely fierce, and both have transformed into Super Saiyan 2, and the combat power is very good. However, judging from the current situation, the strength of the two is almost the same, and it is impossible to distinguish the winner in a short period of time. Big brother, these two little guys have good potential. Looking at this scene, Broly on the side spoke subconsciously. Really good. Nodding, Bupa raised the corner of his mouth and said, but if they don't have any sense of crisis, they will still be destroyed in the end. For example, the previous Son Gohan, because he did not have any sense of crisis. This led to the further evolution of things like this. If it wasn't for you and me, Son Gohan would never have the ability he is today. Indeed, if it weren't for Bupa's sake, Son Gohan would still end up being a nobody. It is even said that Son Gohan was a noob when he arrived at the 7th universe. Although Son Gohan has risen and even improved his weaknesses, it is only temporary. If there is no one to supervise, then Son Gohan's limit will not be raised much. There is still a crisis in universe now, and his aggressiveness is still there. But if such a sense of crisis disappears, the aggressiveness will also dissipate. Da. At this moment, there was a sound of footsteps. Looking at the sound, Bulma's figure can be seen hurriedly coming from the house. After arriving at the area where Bupa and Broly were, Bulma immediately said, Bupa, Broly, what are you doing here? Vegeta and the others have already cultivated in the top 5 Gods of Destruction circles, and Gohan has also entered the Supreme Kai circle. 99. For Bupa and Broly, Bulma was still a little apprehensive and fearful. After all, the two seem to have a good relationship with everyone, but in fact they are also full of contradictions to a certain extent, especially between Vegeta and Bupa. Bulma knows that the two sides are not friendly, and even to say something unpleasant, but an extremely strong tit for tat. It's just that Vegeta is not Bupa's opponent, which led to the fact that the two sides did not really conflict. No, I'm here to find you. Hearing this, Bupa glanced at Bulma and said indifferently, I need you to help me make a Dragon Ball radar that covers universe. What? Hearing this, Bulma was dumbfounded. Never thought that Bupa would actually come to find him. The main thing is that what the latter said was really unexpected, even beyond her expectations. But soon, Bulma calmed down and immediately said, okay. Although it's a little troublesome, I should be able to do it as long as you give me a little time. Hearing this, Bupa nodded. Immediately afterwards, his eyes turned to Bulma and said, so, how long will it take to complete it? 1 week. After a little pondering, Bulma quickly gave an answer. Immediately afterwards, Bulma asked curiously, but what do you want this Dragon Ball radar to do? And there is scope that covers the entire universe. Look for Dragon Ball. Glancing at Bulma, Bupa's eyes flashed brightly, but he didn't hide anything. After all, he knew very well that there was no need to hide this matter. The most important thing is that as long as he gets the Super Dragon Ball, he should leave. And he doesn't need to care about the existence of Bulma and others. Dragon Ball. Nodding thoughtfully, Bulma didn't ask any further questions. Immediately afterwards, Bulma said, then I'll make it now. Give it to you in a week. It is good. With a promise, Bupa glanced at Bulma and said, then we won't be bothering anymore. Broly, let's go. 33. Yes. With a promise, Broly stepped forward and grabbed Bupa's shoulder. The next second, Bupa immediately launched instant transmission and disappeared from the spot. Seeing this, Bulma was also relieved. Immediately afterwards, he looked at Trunks and Son Gohan who were fighting not far away. A hint of helplessness flashed in his eyes, but he did not stop anything, turned and walked towards his studio. Supreme Kai World. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The figures of Son Gohan and Majin Buu, who paid for the money, fought frantically in it. As the battle between the two became more and more sharp, it could clearly be seen that Majin Buu's power was soaring rapidly at the moment. Not only that, as the battle continued to accelerate, one could clearly feel that a huge potential in Majin Buu's body was constantly emerging. It is precisely because of this that Majin Buu's own strength has reached the 6th rank, and according to the current trend, as long as he is given a certain amount of time, he can completely reach the 7th order, 8th order, and even 9th order combat power. Ziziet, the space shook, and Bupa and Broly appeared in the Supreme Kai world. After floating to the ground, Broly's eyes immediately turned to Son Gohan and Majin Buu in the field. After taking a few glances, Broly said subconsciously, "My dear, the change in Majin Buu is really not that big." Chapter 335 Broly vs Son Gohan. As he spoke, Broly's eyes quickly shifted to Son Gohan. After taking a few glances, Broly said, "Brother, this Son Gohan's strength is not bad now. I plan to learn from him." Hearing this, the corners of Bupa's mouth rose. If it was before, Broly wasn't even Son Gohan's match. However, after this bloodline upgrade, Broly's power has far surpassed Son Gohan. However, judging from the current situation, Son Gohan's power has also been greatly improved. In a situation like this, it also seems like a good option to have Broly play against it. Thinking of this, Bupa immediately opened his mouth and said, "If so, then you can try it. I just want to see where Son Gohan's limits are now." 99. In the past 6 months, his strength should have improved a lot. Yes. Hearing this, Broly was overjoyed. Immediately, without caring about anything else, Broly jumped and galloped towards the area within the battlefield. The next second, Broly's figure appeared in the area of the field. With a low growl, Broly immediately used his own power to separate the figures of Son Gohan and Majin Buu who were fighting fiercely. After doing all this, Broly said indifferently, "Son Gohan, how about you come and practice with me?" Broly, seeing the person coming, Son Gohan frowned slightly. To be honest, he really didn't expect Broly to appear here. And looking at Broly's current appearance, it has undergone earth-shaking changes. This shows how much benefit Broly has gotten this time. If nothing else, Broly's bloodline is likely to evolve again. Otherwise, the change in his appearance at the moment would be completely unreasonable. Thinking of this, Son Gohan's eyes could not help flashing a hint of envy. But soon, Son Gohan restrained his inner emotions, nodded and said, "Okay, I want to chat with you too." Having said that, Son Gohan's eyes subconsciously turned to Majin Buu who was not far away and said, "Buu, let me discuss with Mr. Broly first." Good. 35. Nodding his head, Majin Buu also wanted to fight Broly, but he was also very aware of his own lack of strength. And this time Son Gohan and Broly have a good chance to learn from each other. You can take this opportunity to see how big the gap between the two sides is. Thinking of this, Majin Buu no longer hesitated, dodged and galloped towards the ground. All right. Seeing this, Son Gohan smiled slightly. Immediately afterwards, his eyes turned to Broly not far away, and he said, "Let's fight." Give you. In this regard, Broly did not make the first shot. After casually throwing a fairy bean to Son Gohan, Broly then said, "You also used up a lot of physical strength before, recover and let's fight again." Good. 99. With a promise, Son Gohan didn't refuse anything, and directly put the fairy beans into his mouth. After eating the fairy beans, Son Gohan's stamina quickly returned to normal. After all this was done, Son Gohan looked up at Broly and said, "Come on." While speaking, Son Gohan didn't hesitate, and immediately launched the Super 4 and Super Race God transformation. In an instant, Son Gohan's chi spewed forth, and immediately reached the level of the middle 10th order. After doing all this, Son Gohan's eyes locked on Broly and said, "Broly, come on, let me see your current power." "No problem." The corners of his mouth rose. Broly glanced at Son Gohan, and the moment he thought about it, he immediately activated a state of anger. In the next second, Broly's body grew to a height of more than 7 meters. With a surging breath swept out, Broly's power directly reached the level of the late 10th order. After doing all this, Broly did not continue to launch any transformation, but looked at Son Gohan and said, "Come on." Later stage 10. Feeling the pressure from Broly, Son Gohan's complexion sank immediately. I never imagined that things would change so much. The strength of Broly before was almost the same as his, but in the current situation, Broly has reached such a point directly. Just the anger state made his strength reach the level of the late 10th order. So what if he is launching the Super 4 Anquan Super Mode? How powerful will that be? For a time, a trace of bitterness flashed in Son Gohan's eyes, and he said, "The gap is really not that huge. Mr. Broly, I'm afraid I can't make you go all out with your current strength." Hearing this, Broly shrugged undeniably. As Son Gohan said, he is not qualified to let Broly go all out. But Broly didn't want to fight madly with him, only Azer and Beerus could make him go all out. Thinking of this, Broly said, "It doesn't have to be. My main thing this time is to hone my skills and abilities. My strength has improved too much all of a sudden, which has also led to a lot of changes in things." "I see." Son Gohan was instantly enlightened after listening to Broly's story. No wonder the latter was looking for him to learn from. It turned out that he didn't want to fight, but actually wanted to learn skills. Unable to help, Son Gohan was full of fighting spirit at the moment. Since Broly's purpose is to hone his skills and abilities, he can also take this opportunity to hone his own abilities. Thinking of this, Son Gohan immediately growled, "Ha!" The next second, the aura around Son Gohan spurted out, and the aura of the whole person soared again at this moment. In just a few breaths, Son Gohan reached the late 10th stage. Immediately afterwards, Son Gohan no longer hesitated, jumped up and attacked Broly directly. It's good to come. Seeing this, Broly laughed. Without any hesitation, Broly jumped up and headed straight for Son Gohan. In the next second, the two figures immediately fought together in midair. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. A deafening roar resounded, and it was clear that the battle between the two figures had entered a white-hot stage. In the case that Broly doesn't perform Super Game and Quinkout transformation, the power of the two is comparable. Even Son Gohan has a slight edge. But this advantage continued to diminish as the battle continued. It's not that Son Gohan's strength has decreased, but Broly's strength and skills have become more and more skilled as he continues to sharpen himself. Chapter 336 Supreme Kai's Concerns, Seeking Potential Development. Add Mr. Bupa. On the ground, Supreme Kai and Old Supreme Kai hurried over. After seeing the two figures fighting in midair, strong unease flashed in their eyes. After all, Son Gohan is from the 7th universe, but Bupa and Broly are not the powerhouses of the 7th universe. Judging from the current situation of the two, they are completely fighting for their lives, which makes them extremely worried that Bupa and Broly are going to shoot Son Gohan. Hurrying to the area where Broly was, Supreme Kai asked, Mr. Bupa, did Gohan offend you? Mr. Bupa, if Gohan has offended anything, please make atonement. Offend? Atonement. Raising his brows, Bupa glanced at Supreme Kai and the Old Supreme Kai in surprise. I really didn't expect the two of them to be so misunderstood. But he didn't pay too much attention to it. After looking at the two of them, he immediately said, don't worry, it's just Broly and Son Gohan arguing. Learn from each other. Hearing this, Supreme Kai and the Old Supreme Kai were taken aback for a moment, and then their faces immediately showed a look of astonishment. It's incredible that such a huge battle is just a discussion. But soon, the Old Supreme Kai and Supreme Kai also breathed a sigh of relief. Since it is a discussion, then all this is not a problem, and their worries are unnecessary. Thinking of this, the Old Supreme Kai immediately stepped forward, but looking at this situation, Son Gohan is obviously not Mr. Broly's opponent. Mr. Bupa, will you attend the next All-Universe Conference? As soon as these words came out, Supreme Kai looked at Bupa nervously. Add Full Universe Assembly. As Supreme Kai, they all already knew about it. It is because of this that they are extremely worried in their hearts. You know, Bupa and Broly are not the existence of the 7th universe. Although I don't know which universe of the 12 universes they come from, if they participate, no matter how the 7th universe's people practice, I'm afraid they won't have much chance of winning. Full Universe Conference. Raising his brows, Bupa glanced at the Old Supreme Kai, and immediately understood what his worries were. Involuntarily, the corner of Bupa's mouth rose slightly and said, it's not something we can decide whether to participate or not. As soon as these words came out, the complexions of the Old Supreme Kai and Supreme Kai sank. Indeed, although Broly and Bupa are powerful, they are not really Supreme Kai and gods of destruction after all. In addition, they are not the leaders of a universe, and it is hard to say whether they will participate in the battle at that time. Thinking of this, the Old Supreme Kai's expression became more and more impatient. After all, once Bupa and Broly are involved, there really is no one who can be their opponent. At that time, if the 7th universe fails, it is very likely that the 7th universe will be wiped out. At that time, even as Supreme Kai, they will be erased, and there is absolutely no possibility of survival. Mr. Bupa. At this time, Supreme Kai stepped forward with some hesitation. I dare to ask Lord Bupa, is there a way to increase the combat power of Son Gohan and Majin Buu faster? To this day, although some prices have dropped, but Supreme Kai couldn't care less. Although Bupa and Broly are not enemies now, they are not afraid of 10,000. In order for the 7th universe to continue to survive, they must take precautions. Even have to find a way to get Son Gohan and others up as soon as possible. Upgrade your strength. 35. Glancing at Supreme Kai, the corner of Bupa's mouth rose and said, I do know something about them that can make them stronger quickly. 99. But why should I tell you about it? After all, as you said, once my universe joins the fight, we're likely to be enemies. As soon as these words came out, the faces of Old Supreme Kai and Supreme Kai immediately turned pale. As Bupa said, how can the latter be able to tell such things to their enemies? Mr. Bupa. At this time, the Old Supreme Kai was the first to calm down and stepped forward. What do you need? As long as you tell me, I will definitely not refuse. 35. Up to now, the Old Supreme Kai only wished that there was something in himself that Bupa liked. As long as the latter sees something, he can take this opportunity to exchange for means to make Son Gohan and others stronger. 0 for flowers 0. It's done. 35. Hearing this, Bupa appeared calm on the surface, but inside he also smiled slightly. Not for anything else, because he really liked the Old Supreme Kai's means. Of course, the Old Supreme Kai of GT Universe has similar methods, but there are still differences in essence. For example, the Supreme Kai of the two universes is not the same dimension, although it is similar to the existence of the parallel universe. But the Old Supreme Kai of GT Universe cannot develop the power of God. Conversely, the mysterious status of Son Gohan of this universe is compatible with Supreme Kai forces. This also means that Son Gohan can interpret all this to a higher level. So, The potential development in the hands of the old Supreme Kai is what Bupa needs. As long as he masters this method, he will be able to develop the potential of everyone under his command after returning to GT Universe. Point 0. At that time, they will master the Supreme Kai power, and even all of them will be able to reach the current stage of Son Gohan. Thinking of this, Bupa pondered a little, and then said, I have to say, you do have what I need in your hands. As long as the old Supreme Kai can give me this, then I will tell you how to further strengthen Son Gohan et al. 99. Real. Hearing this, the old Supreme Kai was overjoyed, although he still doesn't know what he has in his hand that makes Bupa care. But at this moment, he couldn't care so much anymore, and quickly said, what is it? Mr. Bupa, please clarify. As long as I have it, I will never hide my clumsiness. 55. It is good. Hearing this, Bupa nodded and said, I need your potential development ability. As long as you can impart this ability to me, then I will tell you about the means and techniques to elevate Son Gohan and others. Potential development. Hearing this, the old Supreme Kai was taken aback for a moment, his eyes full of incredible colors. Immediately afterwards, the old Supreme Kai also fell into a tangle. He's not an idiot, so he can't see why Bupa is asking for his ability to develop his potential. It is because of this that the old Supreme Kai is more entangled in his heart. After all, once Bupa masters this method, he can create a steady stream of strong players, and even. 7. Chapter 337 God, Potential Development, Bupa's way to become stronger. Add. Why, you don't agree? Seeing this, Bupa's eyes flashed, and he immediately said, it doesn't matter whether we will become rivals in the future. But one thing is beyond doubt, that your 7th universe is not the most powerful universe. This also means that your contestants may not necessarily be able to get the final victory. 95. On the other hand, if the method I gave is used, the 7th universe has the possibility of truly winning. As soon as these words came out, the old Supreme Kai hadn't opened his mouth yet, but the God Jappy was also moved. Ancestors. 35. Subconsciously, God Jabbit said, the most important thing now is to complete the entire universe conference. 35. Apart from that, the rest is not the most stressful. 39. After all, once we lose, it won't make any sense. 280. As soon as these words came out, the old Supreme Kai's body trembled violently. As Jabbit God said, once the 7th universe loses, it really doesn't make any sense. In addition to Bupa's words just now, their universe is not the strongest, which makes him even more nervous and urgent. Although he didn't participate in the last competition, he also knew that if Beerus hadn't sacrificed his own strength in exchange for Azer's strength, the 7th universe would have completely lost to the 6th universe. Under the current circumstances, the people of the 6th universe are constantly getting stronger, and if they fail, then, I see. Add. Taking a deep breath, the old Supreme Kai came back to his senses, his eyes locked on Bupa and said, I'm willing to teach you the ability to develop potential. 99. Hopefully you will also keep your promise to teach us the tools that make Son Gohan and others stronger. No problem. 39. Hearing this, Bupa smiled slightly and said immediately, but you have to teach me the ability to develop potential first. Remember, I need the full version, and no stash is allowed. 35. If the potential development ability you taught me is incomplete, then the transaction between us does not make any sense. As soon as these words came out, the old Supreme Kai's face froze. Bupa's words really made him feel seen through. But soon, the old Supreme Kai calmed down and took a deep breath. Of course, I won't hide anything. Relax and I will teach you this technique. Saying that, the old Supreme Kai raised his hand and reached for Bupa's face. It is good. Seeing this, Bupa did not hesitate, and immediately relaxed and began to accept the teachings of the old Supreme Kai. The next second, the old Supreme Kai did not hesitate, and immediately began to teach. Buzz. With the humming sound, you can clearly feel a special force pouring out. For a time, Bupa felt a special force entering his body. Under the influence of this force, the ability to develop potentials has also been continuously mastered by him. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully mastering God and developing potential. 35. At this time, the system's prompt sounded, and Bupa also woke up. Add. It's done. Feeling the information of God's potential development, Bupa's face immediately showed a smile. Not surprisingly, this God's potential development has indeed reached his expectations. Even under the premise of God's potential development, he can even develop Broly. In this way, Broly can also open the mysterious state, but it is unknown whether it can be transformed into passive. But even so, Bupa was extremely happy. After all, with this God potential development, Son Goku and others in GT Universe can all be developed with God power. At that time, it will be a matter of course whether it is to complete the transformation of the Super Race God, or to integrate the Supreme Kai power into itself. Thinking of this, a look of anticipation flashed in Bupa's eyes. As long as the strength of everyone in GT Universe improves, it can fully reflect on itself. The most important thing is that with the skill, potential development, he can completely brush the loyalty of everyone in GT Universe to 100 points. Mr. Bupa. At this time, the The weak voice of the old Supreme Kai woke Buppa up. Hearing this, Buppa turned his head to look at the old Supreme Kai, and it could be seen that his expression was extremely pale at the moment. Obviously, imparting the ability to develop God's potential to him is a matter that consumes one's own energy. After regaining his senses, Buppa nodded. Immediately afterwards, his eyes locked on the old Supreme Kai and said, "Since you can teach me the potential development of a full version as agreed. Then I won't go back on what I promised me." 35. Add. Hearing this, the old Supreme Kai and the god of Jade were instantly relieved. Immediately afterwards, the eyes of the two gathered on Buppa's body and said, "Please also teach me, Mr. Buppa." 35. It doesn't have to be. With a wave of his hand, Buppa said indifferently, "This is just a trade that you wish for. If you want to increase the strength of Son Gohan and others, the first point is to increase the strength of the bloodline. You should all know this. The stronger Saiyan's bloodline is, the stronger his strength will be. For example, the current Son Gohan. He is the bloodline of the second-class Super Saiyan God. 99. Under such circumstances, as long as his bloodline goes further, it will not only soar in strength, but even in the case of Super 4 and Super Saiyan transformation, he can stably display Super Saiyan Pink transformation to increase. Besides that, it is the further practice of Super Saiyan God's power. If you can teach Son Gohan Supreme Kai power, or even make him Supreme Kai, then he can perfect Super Saiyan God's third-order transformation in a short period of time. Once the third-order transformation of the Super Saiyan God is completed, Son Gohan's strength is bound to be extremely powerful. Of course, this only applies to Son Gohan. After all, only he can fit the Supreme Kai Force, and Son Goku 0.7 and others cultivated the gods of destruction power, which also prevented them from completing the third order in a short period of time. As for the last option, that is to use the Super Dragon Ball, as long as you find the Super Dragon Ball of the 6th universe and 7th universe to make a wish, it will raise the blood of Son Gohan and others. 55. In addition to this, Super Shenron can also grant them special abilities such as immortality and infinite energy. Think about it, can an existence with immortality, infinite energy and powerful strength be able to be unscrupulous? Is it possible to obtain the final victory? I also want your Supreme Kai's battery earrings. Although that thing is only half an hour, but if the person who uses it is a god, it can become permanent. Once fusion is carried out, no matter who fusion is in the 7th universe, its own strength will be greatly improved. Chapter 338 Closing a Deal. The old Supreme Kai's decision. Add. Fusion. Become a god. After listening to Buppa's story, the expression on the old Supreme Kai's face suddenly changed. He understood what Buppa was referring to. It is because of this that his heart will be more tormented at this moment, not for anything else, because this kind of thing is almost impossible. To achieve unlimited use of battery earrings for permanent fusion, you must become a Supreme Kai. But now they are Supreme Kai. If people become Supreme Kai, doesn't that mean that there will be several more similar existences? Even the big Supreme Kai, the 3 Supreme Kais in the north, south, and west have all died. But their deaths also represent the rotation of the power of the gods to the East Supreme Kai. Although the god of Jabit has not yet fully risen, as long as he has an epiphany, he can reach an extremely terrifying level. But under the current circumstances, Buppa actually let them choose Supreme Kai again. Wouldn't that cut off the future of Jabit God? Even for the old Supreme Kai, it was a huge blow. After all, once the candidates for the big Supreme Kai and the 3 Supreme Kais in the southwest and north appeared, as the Supreme Kai 20 years ago, he will also completely lose the Supreme Kai position. After all, his seat is the East Supreme Kai, and some things have no choice. After pondering for a moment, the old Supreme Kai quickly made up his mind, looked up at Buppa and said, "Thank you, Mr. Buppa, for your guidance." 39. We already know about this, but it still needs to pass the test to help them become Supreme Kai. Nodding, Buppa said nothing. Add. He knew very well what his current situation was, and he knew better that he didn't need to continue to say anything. Moreover, he has already obtained the potential development of the gods he needs, so there is no need to continue to insist on anything. Thinking of this, Buppa didn't say anything, and immediately said, "So, then it's up to you to choose." After speaking, Buppa turned around and walked towards the side area. Seeing this situation, the expressions of the old Supreme Kai and the god of Jade were somewhat fluctuated. To be honest, they don't know whether to do this now. After all, they are very clear about what this matter represents. It's fine if it succeeds, but if it fails, it's all meaningless. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. In midair, the battle between Son Gohan and Broly continued. However, at this moment Son Gohan is obviously unable to hold on, and even under Broly's attack, his injuries have become more and more obvious. It's almost over. Looking at this scene, Buppa's eyes flashed, and then he murmured, "But this time the harvest is enough. The most important thing now is to prepare for the future world." If I remember correctly, Zamasu from Future World has already killed Supreme Kai from Universe 6 and Universe 7. This has also led to the fact that all the top powerhouses in each universe have fallen. I can take this opportunity to test whether I can collect the Super Dragon Ball of the Future World. Thinking of this, Buppa's breathing was a little short for a while. Super Dragon Ball. If the Super Dragon Ball of the Future World really exists, it can take this opportunity to make itself stronger. For example, mastering the body of immortality, or mastering the flash power during evolution, such as mastering the power of time and space that only Angel can control. These are things he doesn't have now, and even desperately needs. Although the system can also help him become stronger, the system's movements are too slow. Under such circumstances, many things cannot be accomplished overnight. Therefore, Super Dragon Ball is the best choice. Thinking of this, Buppa didn't hesitate, jumped up and said, "Broly, you can stop." As soon as these words came out, Broly and Son Gohan, who were fighting fiercely, immediately stopped their movements. After looking at each other, Broly said, "Okay, it's over." Son Gohan, your strength is good, but you need to work harder. Hearing this, Son Gohan smiled bitterly. Try harder. Of course he knew this, but it's almost impossible to catch up with Broly in a short period of time. After pondering for a while, Son Gohan then said, "Mr. Broly said that I will work hard to cultivate and strengthen myself." 39. Hearing this, Broly didn't say much. He knew exactly how his strength came from, and in the end it was Buppa who helped. If it weren't for Buppa, he wouldn't even be Son Gohan's current opponent. Thinking of this, Broly no longer hesitated, turned around and flew to Buppa's side. "Brother." Holding a fist and salute, Broly asked, "Brother, where do we take next?" 35. The World of Gods of Destruction. Glancing at Broly, Buppa said indifferently, "Just in the next time you can consolidate your strength. And your current strength also has some drawbacks, you need to work hard to completely stabilize it." 99. Yes. Nodding, Broly's expression was also awe-inspiring at this moment. He knew very well that his own strength was still unstable, and naturally he would not float. Thinking of this, Broly immediately opened his mouth and said, "Then big brother, let's go now." Good. 99. With a promise, Buppa didn't intend to stay any longer, grabbing Broly's shoulder and launching instant transmission. In the next second, the figures of the two disappeared from the place. Woo. Seeing this, the old Supreme Kai and Jabe were relieved. After looking at each other, the two quickly came to the area inside the arena, looked at Son Gohan and Majin Buu and said, "Majin Buu, Gohan, come here, we have something to tell you." Hearing this, Son Gohan and Majin Buu looked at each other, no longer hesitated, and quickly came to the area where the old Supreme Kai was. Old Supreme Kai, with a clasped fist and a salute, Son Gohan asked in confusion, "I don't know why you called us here." Supreme Kai bit. After pondering for a moment, the old Supreme Kai said, "Mr. Buppa just communicated with us. According to your current situation, it is somewhat difficult to improve again in a short period of time. So, now the only way we can make you Supreme Kai, as long as you become Supreme Kai, whether it is Gohan or Majin Buu, your strength will be greatly improved again. But once you become Supreme Kai, you have to pay a big price for it. That is, you have to be the guardians of the universe." 35. Chapter 339. Supreme Kai Candidate, Vegeta's Reprimand. Supreme Kai Position. Become a Supreme Kai. After listening to the old Supreme Kai's narration, both Son Gohan and Majin Buu's breathing quickly followed. Both understand what it means to be a Supreme Kai. It is more clear that once they become Supreme Kai, their strength will also be greatly improved. Wait a moment. Suddenly, Son Gohan seemed to think of something, and subconsciously said, "If we become Supreme Kai now, what about the All-Universe Conference after that? Once we become Supreme Kai, can we still represent the 7th universe at the All-Universe Conference?" As soon as these words came out, the audience fell silent. The expressions of the old Supreme Kai and the god of Jabe changed. Without him, as Son Gohan said, once they become Supreme Kai, it really can't represent the 7th universe. They are already Supreme Kai after all. As a god, he is not qualified to fight on behalf of the 7th universe. Damn it. 35. How good is this? 35. Subconsciously, Jabbit clenched his fists, his eyes full of anger, not for anything else, because at this moment, he vaguely felt that he seemed to be deceived. What Buppa said about being Supreme Kai, of course, can make Son Gohan and others stronger, but it also prevents them from participating in the All-Universe Conference. No, not so. At this time, the old Supreme Kai said quietly, "This is not for you to become the real Supreme Kai. It's the Supreme Kai alternate. Once you become a Supreme Kai candidate, you can completely unlock the Supreme Kai power in your body. Although there is no blessing from the divine position, it can also allow you to maintain your mortal status before this." 99. In this way, you will be able to participate in the All-Universe Conference, just like Bororian's Gods of Destruction candidates. 5. I see. Son Gohan and Majin Buu suddenly realized after listening to the old Supreme Kai's words. Immediately afterwards, the anticipation in the eyes of the two also became intense. After looking at each other, Son Gohan said, If that's the case, does it mean that we can become stronger as soon as possible? Not bad. 39. Nodding his head, the old Supreme Kai was not selling off, and immediately said, it is indeed the case. 99. But if you want to be a Supreme Kai candidate, then you still need to accept the test for a while. Luo, this test is not for you, but because if you want to be a Supreme Kai alternate, you have to complete all these tests. 99. During this time, you must all stay within the Supreme Kai world, and not be able to leave until you have completed the test. 5. It is good. Hearing this, Son Gohan and Majin Buu nodded without hesitation. After seeing the power of Broly before, their hearts are also full of strong fighting spirit and desire at the moment. Now that the old Supreme Kai has given them a chance to become stronger, how could they miss it under such circumstances? Thinking of this, Son Gohan immediately said, Old Supreme Kai, let's start now. I'm ready to be tested. As soon as these words came out, Majin Buu on the side also looked at where the old Supreme Kai was, and his eyes were full of determination. Very good. Seeing this, the old Supreme Kai no longer hesitated. Without the slightest pause, the old Supreme Kai said directly, so, let's start now. Come with me, the two of you, as we begin the test now to help you develop the Supreme Kai power within you. Gods of Destruction World. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The roar was constantly resounding, and Son Goku, Vegeta, Bororian, Azer, Frieza, Cooler, Pork Ribs Rice, Piccolo and others could be seen fighting among them. As they continued to fight, the breath of each person was also rapidly soaring, especially the Piccolo, Rib Rice and Cooler trio. Under the guidance of Gods of Destruction, the potential of an individual is rapidly being developed. This has also caused their strength to soar rapidly, far exceeding their previous limits. However, under such a battle, some situations have changed a lot. That's Frieza, Son Goku and Vegeta. The three of them have reached their limit. This also led them to continue to practice step by step, but they couldn't make themselves stronger. Even the three of them can clearly feel that their own ascent has reached a bottleneck, and even the increase in combat power brought about by basic training has been extremely slow. Damn it. 35. Feeling her own situation, Vegeta clenched her fists and her eyes were full of grief and anger. After all, in such a situation, many things are definitely difficult for him to accept, especially when he saw that Azer and Bororian were constantly improving themselves in the battle not far away. The jealousy in his eyes became even stronger. Vegeta. At this time, Son Goku stepped forward and asked in confusion, what's wrong with you? Son Goku is more calm and indifferent than Vegeta's strong self-esteem. After all, there are some things that just don't exist, except that he is keen to fight against the strong. The rest of his mind really doesn't have much. Kakarot. Looking at Son Goku in front of him, a cold light flashed in Vegeta's eyes. Immediately afterwards, Vegeta said, I have something to ask you. Did Bupa say before that he can give you advice and even help you get stronger? As soon as these words came out, Frieza also looked at him subconsciously. After all, for Bupa, he also has great respect and admiration in his heart. The most important thing is that if he wants to improve with his current situation, it is really not something he can accomplish. And Bupa is definitely the best choice to improve your own strength, for the money, and even that Ultra Instinct is extremely attractive. It was indeed said. Nodding his head, Son Goku pondered a little, and then said, but it's just for a while. Bupa didn't mean to point me directly. Speaking of which, a tangle flashed in Son Goku's eyes. He's not stupid, how could he not know what Bupa said before? It is because of this that he is still a little tangled in his heart at this moment, but more is also heart-wrenching. Seeing this, Vegeta pouted. Not knowing what Son Goku was thinking, he subconsciously complained, if you want to get it, you have to pay for it. Not everyone will be around you, Kakarot. 35. After speaking, Vegeta turned around and left angrily. He has now made up his mind that as long as he sees Bupa, he will never hesitate. Chapter 340 Selfish Son Goku. Broly shocked the audience. On the contrary, Son Goku's expression at the moment is a little embarrassed. Not for anything else, because he knew exactly what Vegeta was referring to. As Vegeta said, Son Goku struggled more because he wanted Bupa to teach himself Ultra Instinct, and he didn't need to submit to anything. To put it bluntly, it's a little weird, but it's also a reality, especially for Son Goku, who has done things like this too many times along the way. It can be said that it is definitely the real protagonist Halo. Whether it is the Super Saiyan God or the rest of the means, almost all of them can be easily obtained and completed by him. Even if he can't do it himself, others will help him do it, including the fact that Bororian was already a candidate for Gods of Destruction before, but under such circumstances, Whis would actually teach him Ultra Instinct. Although not as careful as in the original book, but it also allowed him to learn a general idea. At least under the current circumstances, as long as Son Goku practiced step by step, there is full hope that Ultra Instinct will be completed in the future. So, Son Goku doesn't want to surrender to Bupa, nor does he want to be moved by the current Ultra Instinct. At this time, Frieza on the side was thoughtful. After casting a glance at Son Goku, He sneered and said, "Do you think Bupa is going to be one of those idiots with a feverish mind? Really stupid guy." After that, Frieza ignored Son Goku's existence and turned around and continued to exercise. Zizzy. At this time, the space shook, and the figures of Bupa and Broly appeared in the Gods of Destruction world. As soon as he floated to the ground, Broly said excitedly, "Brother, my blood is boiling. The power of Azer and Bororian has already made me feel the will to fight." With that said, Broly's eyes followed to the two figures not far away. His eyes were full of scorching fighting intent. "Do you want to fight?" Seeing this scene, Bupa's eyes flashed, and he immediately said, "If that's the case, then you can go and learn from them." "Yes, sir." As soon as he agreed, Broly no longer hesitated, and jumped towards the area where Azer and Bororian were located. The next second, Broly's figure appeared in the area where the two were fighting. After he floated to the ground, Broly's body was filled with strong fluctuations, and he said, "Azer, Bororian, I will be your opponent." Broly, second brother. Seeing Broly's figure, Azer and Bororian, who were fighting, stopped. After looking at each other, their eyes all focused on Broly. The latter had previously stayed with Bupa, and was clearly trying to solve his own problems. Now that Broly appears, they feel extremely strong, which means that the latter's strength must have been greatly improved. After looking at each other, eyes said, "Yes, I also want to see how the uncle's strength is now. But Sheshu, have you improved your combat power a lot this time?" As soon as these words came out, Bororian also looked at Broly curiously. After all, Broly's strength was not his opponent to be honest before, so how much has he improved now? How much? The corners of his mouth rose. Broly glanced at Aze, and immediately stepped out to exert his own two-gully combat power coercion. In an instant, Broly's breath swept out, covering the entire Gods of Destruction world. Tier 10 combat power. The basic combat power has reached such a level all of a sudden. 66.99. In an instant, Aze and Myuu exclaimed subconsciously. They were all stunned by Broly's promotion, and couldn't even believe it. After all, before this, Broly's basic combat power was only at the 8th rank. It's only been a long time, and it has been upgraded to rank 10 all of a sudden, which is simply unbelievable. Tier 10 basic combat power. Oh my god, how Broly has risen. This is also a big improvement. The 10th order basic combat power is the basic combat power of the Gods of Destruction level 6695. At the same time, Son Goku and others in the far area couldn't help but exclaimed. Everyone was stunned by the sight in front of them, and even their hearts were full of disbelief. For nothing else, it's really all too unbelievable. Even to say a bad word, according to the current situation, Broly has even surpassed all of them, including Azer is no exception. After all, although Azer's basic combat power reached tier 9 with the help of Beerus, it was completely incomparable to Broly's tier 10 combat power. Gudu. After swallowing his saliva, Bororian's eyes were full of fiery and yearning. "Second brother, your improvement this time is so huge. What the hell is going on here? Did your flaws increase so much after they were resolved?" Even with the improvement of Saiyan's bloodline, it is impossible to reach such a level. 35. This remark immediately aroused the approval of Aze. Although he recognizes the power of bloodline promotion, he does not think that bloodline improvement alone can reach such a level. Not bad. 35. It's not just blood that I've raised. Hearing this, Broly raised the corners of his mouth, glanced at Broly and immediately said, "The main reason why I have improved so much is because the Saiyan blood essence of evil in my body has been completely absorbed. After thoroughly grasping it, I have transformed into the true Saiyan of evil, which is the ancient Saiyan, not an existence that Quan Zhao can compare with." "I see, Saiyan of evil." After listening to Broly's remarks, Azer and Bororian nodded in understanding. Immediately afterwards, their expressions became serious, especially Bororian. "I really didn't expect Saiyan, the evil one, to be so powerful." After a little pondering, Aze and Bororian looked at each other, and immediately said, "So, let's be your second brother, Sheshu, opponent." While speaking, Azer let out a low roar and immediately activated the platinum mode, and the whole person's combat power then reached the level of the early 13th order. At the same time, Bororian was not to be outdone, and immediately launched Super 3 and Quan Zhao 2 to transform. In an instant, Bororian's breath soared rapidly, and soon followed it to the level of 10th order perfection. After doing all this, the two no longer hesitated, and immediately rushed out of the spot and attacked Broly, drinking lowly, "Second brother, let's fight. Master, come to fight." Chapter 341. Pointing to Bororian, Frieza asks for advice. Seeing this situation, Broly is also full of fighting spirit at the moment. Looking at the two figures attacking, Broly immediately became angry as soon as his mind moved. In the next second, Broly's combat power increased by 1000 times, and with one punch, the attacking Myuu shot out. After one blow, Broly let out a loud shout, and immediately entered the Super 4 stage. In an instant, Broly's combat power reached the level of the early 12th order. But just like that, Broly's combat power is not enough to compete with Azer. Seeing that the latter had attacked, Broly's eyes flashed, and he immediately launched Quan Jiao 2 transformation. With the grass green air rising into the sky, Broly's basic combat power once again soared to the level at the beginning of the 13th order. War. With a low roar, Broly no longer hesitated after completing his transformation. He went straight to Aze. In the next second, the two figures were fighting in midair, together. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. In a short moment, the two figures fought dozens of moves. Even under such circumstances, the power of the two is constantly erupting. Under such circumstances, although Bororian was willing to participate, he was blocked because of the difference in combat power, and there was absolutely no possibility of him intervening. It's a huge difference. The 13th order combat power really makes people feel powerless. With a bitter smile, Bororian clenched his fists, and finally chose to disperse his transformation. Although he still has a state of anger and has yet to display it, even if it is displayed, the maximum combat power will reach the level of 11th order. Add. The 13th order combat power of Azer and Broly is completely different, so he has no intention of continuing to fight. After a little pondering, Bororian did not disturb the battle between Azer and Broly, and dashed towards the area where Bupa was located. Big brother. Soon, Bororian arrived at the area where Bupa was, and after clasping his fists in a salute, he immediately opened his mouth and said, "Brother, can you make me stronger?" 9. At this moment, Bororian's eyes were full of desire for strength. At this moment, he was eager to continue to become stronger, and even wanted to have the ability to compete with Azer and Broly. Not only him, but the eyes of everyone around him were also locked on Bupa at the moment. After all, if he can point Bororian, then maybe he really has the possibility to make himself and others stronger. Among them, Frieza, Vegeta's eyes are more eager. Yes. 35. Glancing at Bororian, the corner of Bupa's mouth rose, and he immediately said, "Abandon the Super Race and transform. Learn about Kia and incorporate the power of the Super Saiyan into the Quan Super mode, or it is to integrate the Quan Jiao mode into the Jiao Sai God. After all, you are a candidate for gods of destruction, and you don't need to worry about the lack of divine power and the lack of continuous combat ability. However, if you want to accomplish this, you still need to practice well. Give up the Super 4. Quan Jiao integrates into Super Race God. Super Race God integrates into Quan Jiao." After listening to Bupa's remarks, Bororian's body suddenly trembled, and the whole person's emotions were also excited. If it is true according to what Bupa said, then his strength can also be greatly improved by then. Although he can't complete Super Saiyan 4, he also has the possibility of completing Super Saiyan 4. In this way, once the power of Quan Jiao 4's transformation into Jiao Sai God is superimposed, then, I know big brother. 35. Taking a deep breath, Bororian immediately said, "I'm going to try to cultivate now. As long as the two can be fused together, there is no need for a super transformation and there is no obstacle for me." After speaking, Bororian no longer hesitated, turned around and left in a hurry. After seeing Broly's great improvement, and seeing Azer and Broly's peak duel, Bororian couldn't wait to improve himself. Call out, call out. Almost at the moment when Bororian left, two air-breaking sounds came along. Looking around, we can see that Frieza and Vegeta have appeared in the area where Bupa is. Master Bupa. With a bow, Frieza stepped forward and said, "I beg your lord to give me the way to become stronger." At this moment, Frieza bowed and saluted with anticipation in his eyes. Frieza. Seeing this, Bupa's eyes flashed, and after a little thought, he immediately said, "It's not impossible for you to become stronger. Zero seeking flowers. It's just that you have to pay for it." 35. Cost? Hearing this, Frieza was stunned for a moment, then looked at Bupa in a puzzled way and said, "Please make it clear, sir." As soon as these words came out, Vegeta also looked at Bupa curiously. I don't know how he wants to increase Frieza's power. After all, the latter's limit has been reached. Without the blood of the ancient frozen demon race, it is logically impossible for Frieza to have any big improvement. Simple. With the corners of his mouth up, Bupa glanced at Cooler who was still cultivating not far away, and his eyes flashed, devouring Cooler. 35. If nothing else, Cooler has now completed its golden form. 9. And his potential is still above you. If you can swallow it, then it will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Even if you can't become the ancient frozen demon bloodline like Azer, it is enough to make you go further. The most important thing is that with the combination of Cooler's potential and yourself, your potential will be greatly increased again, and there is even the possibility of completing the platinum form in the transformed form. Gyudu. Hearing this, Frieza couldn't help swallowing. Unexpectedly, the sacrifice Bupa was referring to would be this. Subconsciously, Frieza said, "Lord Bupa, but I don't know how to devour." Although it is not stated clearly, the meaning of Frieza is also self-evident. That is no way. As long as there is hope, he will never hesitate. Simple. With an indifferent smile, Bupa glanced at Frieza and stepped forward. "It happened that I learned a new ability during this time. Now that you need it, I will teach it to you." With that said, Bupa put his hand on Frieza's forehead. In the next second, Bupa no longer hesitated, and directly taught Frieza a devouring technique he had learned on the planet Atrad. After all this was done, Bupa said, These means are enough for you to do it all. And if you don't think it's enough, you can find King Cold, or even the rest of the frozen demon race except Azer to devour it. 7. Chapter 342 Devouring, Cooler's Death. Devouring. At this time, Frieza came to his senses as if he had just woken up from a dream. Feeling the phagocytosis in his mind, the bottom of his eyes suddenly burst into hot colors. After looking at Cooler not far away, Frieza resisted the urge to immediately go to devour and deal with it, and continued to ask, "Dare to be an adult, can this devouring technique target the rest?" At this moment, the greed in Frieza's heart was extremely strong. If the devouring technique can really devour everything that is dealt with, doesn't it mean that he can take this opportunity to devour more potential existences, like Saiyan, like? No. Looking at Frieza, Bupa immediately saw through the latter's mind. Immediately afterwards, Bupa said, "This method can only devour the existence of the same family." Speaking of which, these 287 methods are somewhat similar to the special talents of the Namek people. And Azer's bloodline is above you. If you dare to take action against him, then everything you own will be turned into provisions and be devoured by him. After hearing Bupa's words, Frieza swallowed and a drop of cold sweat formed on his forehead. Fine. Fortunately, he opened his mouth to ask. If he didn't ask, then he was likely to make a big mistake, and he would even have his own life in danger. Thinking of this, Frieza glanced at Bupa gratefully, then bowed and saluted. "Thank you, Lord Bupa, for your guidance." Lord Bupa, Frieza goes first. 99. After speaking, Frieza jumped out of the spot, aiming directly at Cooler who was still practicing in the distance. Sigh. Seeing this, Vegeta couldn't help taking a deep breath. He knew that Frieza was going to take on Cooler, and it is very likely that once he completes it, his own strength will also soar greatly. Thinking of this, Vegeta didn't even care about her own purpose, and her eyes subconsciously focused on Frieza. Cooler. At this moment, Frieza appeared in the area where Cooler was. With a low drink, Frieza immediately entered the golden form, and then shot at Cooler without hesitation. Frieza. When the crisis struck, Cooler's expression changed, and he subconsciously displayed his golden form to dodge. However, Cooler's base power is far from Frieza's at the moment. Even after completing the golden mode, Cooler's combat power has only reached the level of tier 6, and it is completely impossible to match Frieza's tier 8 combat power. In just an instant, Frieza appeared in the area where Cooler was. Grabbing Cooler's neck, Frieza said with a cold expression, "My good brother, for the glory of the Frozen Demon clan, please make some sacrifices." Sacrifice. Hearing this, Cooler seemed to have thought of something, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. "Frieza, what do you want to do?" "I'm your brother. Do you really want to take action against me? And I am now one of the warriors trained by Lord Beerus. You dare to shoot at me? Is it the punishment of Lord Bupa Beerus?" 35. At this moment, Cooler panicked. Although he didn't know what Frieza was going to do, he could see that something was wrong from the latter's demeanor and words. "Beerus." With a cold smile, Frieza glanced at Cooler and said, "Being able to make me stronger, Lord Beerus will only be happier. And you are only a mere 6th tier combat power. Even if you reach the extreme, you are similar to me, and it is completely meaningless. Cooler, come on, be my strength." With that said, Frieza unhesitatingly activated the devouring technique that Bupa had just taught him. The hum resounded, and the golden light shone from Frieza's hands, and then began to absorb all of Cooler at a speed visible to the naked eye. What? The screams resounded, and Cooler could clearly feel his own crisis. For a time, Cooler's face was full of pain, and he subconsciously shouted, "Master Beerus, save me." 99. Just as Cooler's voice came out, Beerus' figure appeared in the castle not far away. After seeing the actions of Frieza and Cooler on the court, Beerus frowned and said, "Frieza, what are you doing?" "Master Beerus." Hearing this, Frieza glanced at Beerus and did not stop the movement in his hands. Continuing to use the devouring technique to devour Cooler, Frieza looked at Beerus not far away with a very indifferent expression. "Master Beerus, Master Bupa just taught me a way to become stronger. Sacrificing Cooler, my strength can reach rank 9, or even more than rank 10. As soon as these words came out, Beerus frowned. He wasn't sure what Frieza was referring to, but the latter was so confident that it meant a lot of possibilities. An 8th order combat power and a 10th order combat power. He naturally knows how to choose. Thinking of this, Beerus looked at Bupa subconsciously and said, "Bupa, are you sure it works?" "Certainly." The corners of his mouth rose, and Bupa said indifferently, "What I teach cannot be fake." And with Frieza's potential, if it can devour Cooler, it will at least reach tier 10 potential, and hopefully even stronger. 35. Hearing this, Beerus smiled. At least level 10 potential, and possibly even stronger. Isn't that exactly what he needs? Thinking of this, Beerus immediately ignored the begging Cooler and said indifferently, "Frieza, speed up. Let me see how strong you can be." 55. As soon as these words came out, the audience fell silent. The presence of Son Goku and others all shuddered, and they all understood Beerus' ruthlessness. At the same time, Their gazes were also subconsciously 0.7 to where Frieza was. I don't know what method Bupa taught him this time, but he was more curious. Under such circumstances, time passed quickly, and Cooler's screams resounded at this moment. At this moment, it can be seen that Cooler's body exploded and turned into powder, and all his potential was completely devoured by Frieza. At this moment, the chi in Frieza's body began to soar rapidly. 9,000 zip 9 dig, 90 dig. After reaching 90 dig, Frieza's combat power stopped growing so strong. All of a sudden it reached the 90H order combat power. It's unbelievable that Frieza has become so much stronger all at once. The mid-level 90H order combat power is not comparable to his previous 80H order early stage combat power. Chapter 343 Vegeta Allegiance, Super Saiyan 5, Ad. Gudu. Seeing this scene, everyone present was dumbfounded. For nothing else, Frieza's improvement is too fast and too strong. Although it is still in the golden form, it has also reached the 90H order combat power. And this is only just swallowing Cooler. If you give him a little time, it will definitely be more powerful. Thinking of this, everyone's breathing is rapid, and the eyes are also full of desire for the so-called phagocytosis. Including Vegeta is no exception. Although there are only a few Saiyans in the universe now, there are still many Saiyans in hell. If he can achieve such a level as Frieza, then he can also improve his potential and strength. Ha. At this moment, Frieza burst into laughter. Feeling the fluctuation of his own power, Frieza was overjoyed, and his eyes were full of strong confidence and longing. After just swallowing Cooler, he got such a huge increase. What if he swallowed King Cold and others in hell? So will his own potential and strength continue to soar along with it? Thinking of this, Frieza swept away the haze in his heart, and at the same time, he turned around and hurried to the area where Bupa was. Thank you Mr. Bupa. Bowing in a salute, Frieza looked at Bupa with gratitude and admiration. It doesn't have to be. Waving his hand, Bupa said indifferently, this is your own chance. To be able to do this, you have to have enough potential. However, although your strength improvement can be completed, it is still a little unstable, and it even takes a period of training to be completely consolidated. 5. So, without completely consolidating your own strength, you can't rashly continue to devour others. Add. Yes. 99. Hearing this, Frieza nodded in awe. He understood that what Bupa was referring to was not alarmist. Because of this, he couldn't rashly begin to devour the rest of the frozen demon race for promotion. Master Bupa. At this moment, Vegeta couldn't bear it anymore, stepped forward to the area in front of Bupa, bowed and saluted. I'm willing to give 100% loyalty, and please Lord Bupa to guide me. Ding. Check the sub-protagonist's oath of allegiance. Is the host bound? The system prompt sound also resounded at this moment. Interesting. It's Vegeta. Raising his brows, Bupa's eyes showed a hint of surprise. I thought Son Goku was the first to choose to surrender, but I didn't expect it to be Vegeta who didn't deal with him. But an accident is an accident, and Bupa is not good at rejecting such an opportunity. After all, Vegeta is also a sub-protagonist, although it may not be as huge as Son Goku's reward. But it is also stronger than Frieza and others. Bind. As soon as he thought of this, Bupa spoke up immediately. Ding. Check the bound character. Vegeta's loyalty reaches 90, unlock 10 times the return ability, and reward the host Super Saiyan 5 for transformation. 5. Super Saiyan 5. His pupils shrank, and Bupa's breathing became quicker at this moment. Unexpectedly, Vegeta would be able to exchange such great benefits for himself after surrendering. Super Saiyan 5. That's Super Saiyan 5. Add. Once transformed, he can even gain power beyond Super Saiyan God's form. The most important thing is that once you complete the transformation of Super Saiyan 5, if you combine your own Super Transfer mode, the benefits you will get at that time will be huge. Even. It is good. Opening his eyes, Bupa looked at where Vegeta was, and said indifferently, since you are willing to give your loyalty, then I can indeed give you advice. As he spoke, Bupa immediately called the system to check Vegeta's information. Vegeta, race, Saiyan, bloodline, royal family, combat strength, late stage 6, transformation, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan Dark Blue, ability, Final Flash, Prince Tactics, Artificial Moon, loyalty, 92 loyalty. It's not bad. Apostrophe. To be able to reach such a point from the beginning, it can be seen that Vegeta is really determined. While thinking, Bupa looked at Vegeta with kindness. After a little pondering, Bupa said, I will continue to stay in the 7th universe for nearly half a year. 35. In this half year, I will try to teach you Ultra Instinct, at least to allow you to complete the cultivation of the ultimate sign of freedom first. Ultra Instinct, Free Omen. Hearing this, Vegeta was excited. This is the ability he dreams of learning. But Whis has said before that he has too many distractions to learn. Add. Now that Bupa actually said such words, he couldn't help but look forward to it. Subconsciously, Vegeta said, Master Bupa. Dare you ask Mr. Bupa, can I really learn Ultra Instinct? Before Whis said I couldn't practice. As soon as these words came out, Everyone around looked at Bupa. They have all seen the power of Ultra Instinct previously. By 287 Ruth and Bupa's Ultra Instinct faced off, and it was definitely the peak matchup. The most important thing is that this Ultra Instinct is not just about cultivation. Can Bupa really complete that teaching within half a year? Sure. Glancing at Vegeta, the corner of Bupa's mouth rose, and then he said lightly, there are many kinds of Ultra Instinct. What I practice is the most basic Ultra Instinct. But it is also the most balanced existence. If you want to cultivate in this category, there is indeed not much possibility. After all, your aggression is extremely powerful. 35. But if you're going to practice the aggressive Ultra Instinct of Beerus, it's totally promising. 35. Although it is extremely difficult to accomplish this, it is not too difficult in itself. As long as I point you, there is a complete hope that you will learn some fur within half a year. At that time, you only need to practice hard yourself. Then you can successfully practice Ultra Instinct in a short period of time. Hiss. After listening to Bupa's words, everyone present couldn't help but gasped. Immediately afterwards, countless people looked at Bupa with fiery eyes. Ultra Instinct. That's Ultra Instinct. Bupa can actually teach, and can also point to Vegeta. Chapter 344 Breaking Son Goku's Back Road, Boiling Everyone. Thank you, Lord Bupa. After being confirmed, Vegeta was thoroughly excited. Offensive Ultra Instinct. Although it is not as good as the basic version of Bupa's practice, it is also obviously strong. The most important thing is that it is also Ultra Instinct, which can completely take his power to a higher level. Thinking of this, Vegeta flashed a strong excitement in her heart, and then said, the next thing is to trouble Mr. Bupa. At this time, Bupa can clearly see that the loyalty above Vegeta's head has increased from 92 to 97. Although it has not yet reached 100, Bupa is also very clear that it is because he has not fully taught Vegeta to complete Ultra Instinct. As long as Vegeta completes the Ultra Instinct, maybe the loyalty can reach 100. Very good. I just took this opportunity to get a wave of rewards. Muttering inwardly, Bupa looked at Vegeta with a kinder gaze, and then said, if that's the case, then you will leave this place with me for special training. Yes. Hearing this, Vegeta was overjoyed. At this time, Bororian and others on the side couldn't bear it anymore, and quickly stepped forward and came. Brother, can you give us some pointers to practice Ultra Instinct? As soon as these words came out, the eyes of several people all focused on Bupa. The eyes of each of them are full of anticipation and longing. Ultra Instinct. They all wanted to learn too, including Bororian. Glancing at Bororian, Frieza, Azer and others, Bupa raised the corner of his mouth and said, since you want to learn, I can also instruct you to cultivate. 35. But I'm not sure if it can be done. Unlike Vegeta, which is suitable for offensive Ultra Instinct, I don't know what type of Ultra Instinct is suitable for you. And the basic Ultra Instinct I practice is extremely difficult, and there are huge difficulties, so at most you should learn the ultimate sign of freedom first. Only after you have mastered the omens of freedom, can you start cultivating your own Ultra Instinct according to your own circumstances. Hearing this, Frieza and others were overjoyed. Bupa is willing to teach them, which means that they also hope to improve their own strength. Thinking of this, Frieza and the others no longer hesitated, and they all bowed and saluted. I will definitely live up to Lord Bupa's expectations. I'm sure I will live up to Lord Bupa's expectations. 66.99. At this scene, Bupa nodded with satisfaction. Teaching Ultra Instinct to a few people is nothing. After all, it is not difficult for him at all. Thinking of this, Bupa pondered for a while, then looked at Bororian and said, Bororian, you'd better practice with Whis. After all, Whis's teaching methods are not inferior to mine, and his mastery of Ultra Instinct is stronger than mine. So, it is the best choice for you to practice Ultra Instinct with Whis. Hearing this, Myuu opened his mouth for a while and was a little confused. Although he recognized Bupa's words, he still wanted to practice with Bupa. After all, Bupa was directly taught to Broly Ultra Instinct before, which is definitely not something ordinary people can do. No need to worry. With a wave of his hand, Bupa saw Bororian's thoughts, and immediately said, Whis is your best choice, and it is also the object of your apprenticeship and cultivation in the future. You are a candidate for Gods of Destruction, and he will teach you Ultra Instinct without any hesitation. Besides, Frieza, Azer and others do not have this opportunity, at least in a short period of time. They do not have any possibility of contacting Ultra Instinct. So, you stay and let Whis guide you, and it just so happens that you can also practice against Beerus. With Beerus and Whis guidance, you can improve as soon as possible in terms of strength and Ultra Instinct. As soon as these words came out, everyone present looked at Bororian with envy. As Bupa said, the latter's status as a candidate for Gods of Destruction has benefited too much. It is even beyond the reach of ordinary people, even unbelievable. I see, big brother. 35. When he came back to his senses, Bororian immediately said, Brother, I'll stay and practice with Lord Whis and Beerus. 55. Very good. Hearing this, the corners of Bupa's mouth rose, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. With this conversation, He believes that both Beerus and Whis will do their best to cultivate Bororian. Under such circumstances, it is almost impossible for Son Goku to take the opportunity to learn Ultra Instinct. Therefore, if Son Goku's possibility of learning Ultra Instinct is blocked, then he has to surrender to his own path. Thinking of this, Bupa glanced at Son Goku not far away. But seeing that Son Goku still had no intention of moving, Bupa frowned slightly and said to himself, "Interesting. This guy is really surprising." Son Goku, since you don't want to surrender, you have to pay for your own choices. After making up his mind, Bupa didn't plan to stay any longer. Broly, as almost instantly, Bupa raised his head, looked at the area not far away and shouted, "You two stop practicing." 99. Next, I will take you to another area to practice Ultra Instinct. As soon as these words came out, Broly and Azer were taken aback. Immediately afterwards, the two of them did not continue to insist on anything, and immediately stopped their movements. After all this was done, Broly said immediately, "Let's go." It just so happens that my eldest brother is going to teach you Ultra Instinct, and this is your chance. Yes, uncle. Hearing this, with Qianzhou, eyes came back to his senses, and was overjoyed at the moment. Ultra Instinct. That is the Ultra Instinct that I dreamed of. Now it's finally time to be taught, which is absolutely crucial for Azer. Thinking of this, Azer didn't hesitate. He followed Broly and walked towards the area where Bupa was. Call out! Call out! The sound of breaking through the air resounded, and the figures of Azer and Broly arrived at the area where you sang. Master, with a clasped fist and a salute, Azer said excitedly, "Where are we going to learn Ultra Instinct now?" The Supreme Kai World. Glancing at Azer, the corner of Bupa's mouth lifted up and said, "Just where Son Gohan is." 35. Now he is completing the test of the Supreme Kai position, and if he succeeds, he can become a Supreme Kai alternate. We went to practice Ultra Instinct within the Supreme Kai world, which is more suitable. Chapter 345 The Rejection of Whis and Beerus, the Son Goku who doubts his life. Supreme Kai world. Supreme Kai alternate. After listening to Bupa's story, everyone present was shocked, especially Vegeta and Frieza. Unexpectedly, Son Gohan has such an opportunity in the Supreme Kai world. While the Supreme Kai alternate isn't like the Gods of Destruction alternate, there aren't even many great powers to boost. But once he becomes a Supreme Kai candidate, Frieza himself will definitely improve significantly. Thinking of this, the group of people suddenly became even more urgent. They didn't say anything, but they all stared straight at Bupa. All right. Seeing this, Bupa clapped his hands, glanced at the crowd, and said, "All come forward. We're leaving here now. Bororian, after we leave, you and Whis and Beerus will go to that dimensional space to practice Ultra Instinct. Hopefully you can get hold of it before I leave the 7th universe." "Yes, sir." As soon as he agreed, Bororian clenched his fists and did not dare to neglect. Yes. 99. Yes. At the same time, Azer, Vegeta, Frieza and Broly also agreed and walked to the area beside Bupa. 290. The next second, the hands of the four touched Bupa's shoulder. Walk. Without staying or talking to Beerus and Whis, Bupa launched instant transmission to take the four out of the Gods of Destruction world. Seeing this, the pork ribs and Piccolo in the distance looked at each other with stunned eyes. They can also see that Bupa and others are going to become stronger, and even Vegeta can even let go of his inner pride in order to learn Ultra Instinct. But it is precisely because of this that their hearts are more urgent. Once Vegeta and the others complete their training, their strength is bound to undergo earth-shaking changes. Ribs with rice. Piccolo. Almost instantly, the pork ribs and Piccolo in the arena area attacked each other. Up to now, they have no way. The only hope is that they can work hard to cultivate and become stronger. Only by becoming stronger can they catch up with Vegeta and others, and not become a dragging existence in the end. Lord Beerus. Wise. At this time, Bororian had also recovered his senses, and without any hesitation, he immediately came to the area in front of Beerus and Whis. After the body stabilized, Bororian didn't hesitate, he just bowed and saluted. "I also ask you two to guide me in my practice and Ultra Instinct." 35. I won't lose to the big brother and the second brother, and I won't lose to the rest of the universe at the Universal Conference. So, I need to be stronger, even stronger than anything. As soon as these words came out, Beerus and Whis were both moved. Looking at the steadfast Bororian in front of them, they all knew that the latter had completely accepted his status as a candidate for Gods of Destruction. This also means that Bororian will truly become the next Gods of Destruction. Thinking of this, Beerus and Whis had a smile on their faces. After looking at each other, Beerus said, "If so, then come with us." "I didn't expect that Bupa could really convince you." "Whis and I already have some clues about what you said before. Even if it can't help you complete Ultra Instinct this time, it will at least allow you to perfect the combination of Quinkao and Super Saiyan." This remark immediately aroused the approval of Whis. He glanced at Bororian and said, "Bororian, I will give all my efforts to instruct you in your Ultra Instinct cultivation. I don't ask you to complete Ultra Instinct once, but at least you have to complete the Omen of Freedom before the full Universe Conference." After speaking, Whis waved the scepter in his hand. The next second, the scepter was bright, and the dimensional space was opened directly. After all this was done, Beerus, Whis and Bororian took a step, to prepare to enter. Lord Beerus! Whis! 39. At this moment, Son Goku, who was not far away, was in a hurry. Vegeta followed Bbook away. Beerus and Whis also have to give their full attention to Bororian. What about themselves? Thinking of this, Son Goku didn't care about anything else. He quickly stepped forward and asked, Master Beerus, Whis, can I practice with you? 5. However, Son Goku's confidence was full of failure at this moment. Sorry, Mr. Goku. Taking a look at Son Goku, Whis refused without hesitation. I need to give my full attention to Bororian next, and I don't have the time to distract the others. If it was before, Whis might consider Son Goku. After all, the latter is also part of the 7th universe, and also has Zeno's friendship. Even if the reason for all this is that Zeno is using Son Goku, it's good intentions after all. But now it's different. He and Beerus will soon be promoted to Great Angel and Xeno Guards, and in such a situation, pointing out the next gods of destruction is the most important thing. Good. Beerus also nodded, glanced at Son Goku and said, your current strength is not bad. You can train yourself well. Bororian is a candidate for gods of destruction, and we need to train him with all our strength. Okay, Whis, Bororian, let's go. After speaking, Beerus no longer hesitated, and walked towards the dimension space. Yes, Lord Beerus. Yes, Lord Beerus. 35. Seeing this, Whis and Myuu didn't hesitate, and immediately followed. In particular, Bororian, looking at Son Goku at the moment, doesn't have any goodwill. He's not an idiot either. After going through so many things, how can you not know what Son Goku's so-called follow-along means? If it was before, Bororian wouldn't care. But at this moment, if Son Goku continues to follow, it will only disturb his practice, and even prevent him from completing the transformation and Ultra Instinct practice. If it weren't for the fact that everyone is from the 7th universe, and the previous relationship was not bad, Bororian might even shoot Son Goku directly. Immediately afterwards, the three figures entered the dimensional space directly. Zizzy. The dimensions were twisted, and the three Beerus figures disappeared in the area in front of Son Goku. Watching this scene blankly, Son Goku was completely dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, he was rejected, and even Beerus or Whis did not intend to continue to point him. At this moment, Son Goku's inner emotions were up and down, and he stood there blankly for a while, feeling a little overwhelmed. Chapter 346 Teaching the Azer Trio, Crazy Raging. At this moment, Son Goku begins to doubt life. Why Beerus and Whis are reluctant to teach themselves? Why does Bupa teach Vegeta, Frieza, Azer et al but not himself? For a time, Son Goku's expression changed, and his emotions exploded at this moment. Supreme Kai World. Zizzy. The space shook, and Bupa appeared in it with Azer and the others. Mr. Bupa. When he saw Bupa appear, God Jabbit stepped forward immediately. For Bupa, the god of Jabbit still attaches great importance to it. After all, the previous deal with Bupa was a huge gain for them. The most important thing is that at this moment Frieza and others are coming together, which makes Jabbit think that they are also here to improve their strength. Nodding, Bupa glanced at the god of Jabbit, and then said, God Jabbit, then I need to use the Supreme Kai community for a while to guide Azer and the others to practice. 35.7 exclamation mark dream. Hearing this, Jabbit was overjoyed. Bupa really came to instruct Vegeta and others to practice, which is definitely good news for the 7th universe. Thinking of this, God Jabbit said immediately, Mr. Bupa, the ancestors are conducting assessments for Son Gohan and Majin Buu in the area not far away. How about you go to the area to the west to cultivate? No problem. Nodding, Bupa glanced at the old Supreme Kai, Son Gohan and Majin Buu not far away, naturally not bothering. After pondering for a while, Bupa turned his head to look at Vegeta and the others behind him and said, let's go and have a look. 99. Yes. Agreeing, Azer and the others didn't hesitate, just took a step and followed Bupa towards the far area. Seeing this situation, God Jabbit didn't bother, but walked towards where the old Supreme Kai was. If Azer and others are going to practice here, he needs to make sure that the old Supreme Kai and the others will not be disturbed. Soon, Bupa and his party arrived at the area west of Supreme Kai boundary. Bring it on. After reaching the inside area, Bupa turned around and looked directly at Aze and others, and said, Aze, Vegeta, Frieza, all three of you are inclined to attack. So, what you have to do next is to be beaten passively. Passively beaten. Hearing this, the three of Aze were dumbfounded. Looking at each other, Aze subconsciously said, Master, why? Not only him, but also Vegeta and Frieza were stunned. They came to learn Ultra Instinct. Why is it being passively beaten now? Simple. With an indifferent smile, Bupa raised the corner of his mouth and said, you guys have already attacked enough, so there is absolutely no need to insist on studying anything. But your reflexes are so poor that you can't achieve your instincts at all. So next, I need to seal your powers so that you can activate your instincts as soon as possible. 99. Under the threat of death, people's instincts will be rapidly stimulated and exploded, so at that time you can quickly become a sign of freedom. But in such a situation, you are also worried about your life, but the fairy beans in my hand are enough. As long as you still have a breath, I will be able to save you. Hiss. After listening to Bupa's remarks, the three of Azer suddenly took a deep breath. It is absolutely appalling that the sealing force activates its own instincts at the edge of life and death. Even if there is the existence of fairy beans, it is a huge torture for them. Subconsciously, Vegeta said, Lord Bupa, if you don't control your strength, then don't worry. 99. Before Vegeta could finish speaking, Bupa waved his hands in disapproval and said, there are Dragon Balls on Earth and Namek, and I can easily revive you. Tilda. Hearing this, Aze and the three were completely dumbfounded. Now, how could they not know that this thing cannot be changed? After looking at each other, Aze took the lead to calm down, and immediately said, if that's the case, then I'll trouble the master. As soon as these words came out, Vegeta and Frieza also calmed down. As Azer said, they now have no choice. Although it is dangerous, it is impossible to worry about life. Most importantly, they are also able to take the opportunity to learn Ultra Instinct. As soon as they thought of this, the two of them didn't hesitate, and immediately said, if that's the case, then this matter will trouble the adults. Zero ask for flowers 0. Hearing this, Bupa nodded in satisfaction. Immediately after that, he didn't hesitate, just waved his hand and said, Broly, come with you too. 35. Control your strength, as long as you don't kill him. Saying that, Bupa stepped out and immediately appeared in the area where Azer and the three were. Seal up. Before the three of them regained their senses, Bupa sealed all the power in Azer's body with a flick of his finger. Thump. In an instant, the three fell to the ground. In an instant, all of them were caught off guard, and the loss of power made them not even react. Go. However, Bupa made another bold move at this moment. 0. Not only him, but Broly on the side is also quietly shooting at this moment. Bang bang bang. In an instant, the silhouettes of the three of their eyes were knocked out, smashed to the ground, blood spurted out from the corners of the three people's mouths, and their faces turned pale at this moment. But Bupa and Broly did not stop because of this, and after a low growl, they attacked the three again. For a time, the three of Azer woke up like a dream, and hurriedly dodged without caring about their own pain. Under such circumstances, time passes little by little. As time went by, the injuries of the three of Azen became more and more serious, and Bupa also took out the fairy beans and swallowed them. After the injury returned to normal, Bupa and Broly continued to wreak havoc on it. For a time, the entire western area of the Supreme Kai world was filled with the screams of the three Vegeta, and it was really sad for those who heard it and those who listened to tears. But precisely because of this, Vegeta, Azer and Frieza's reflexes and dodging abilities have also been greatly enhanced. Under such circumstances, Bupa sealed their power, which directly resulted in their inability to attack and defend, and only dodge and react to avoid the attack. This also led to the strength of the three of them increasing every moment, although they have not recovered their strength. But the growth of the three is undeniable, and even the three of Aze can clearly feel it. It is precisely because of this that the three of Azen were initially confused, aggrieved, angry, and unwilling. By now, the three of them are just around the corner, looking forward to Bupa and Broly's attack even longer. Chapter 347 Son Goku's Visit. Ironic Surrender. Time flies. More than half a month has passed in the blink of an eye. Finally reached. On this day, a figure appeared in the Supreme Kai world. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that Son Goku's figure has appeared in the Supreme Kai world, and he is looking at the surrounding scenery leisurely. Soon, Son Goku saw Bupa and the others who were in the western region, and when his eyes lit up, he sped forward. Son Goku. Almost as soon as Son Goku appeared, Bupa sensed his presence. For a while, Bupa stopped the movements in his hands, waved Vegeta and the others to stop, and said, "Take a rest. There is an uninvited guest." Uninvited guest? Hearing this, Vegeta and the others in the arena were taken aback for a while, and after looking at each other, they all looked up. Soon, the three of 290 A's saw Son Goku galloping over. For a time, the three of them frowned. They were extremely unhappy that Son Goku came to disturb their practice, especially Frieza, who was even more rude at this moment. "It's this damn guy again." No one refuted this. Everyone could see what Son Goku was thinking, and what was the purpose of Son Goku's visit this time. But it is precisely because of this that they are even more contemptuous at this moment in their hearts, with the thoughts of Vegeta and others. How could it not be possible to see what Son Goku's small calculations are? Because of this, the latter only wants to get but not to give, which is definitely an act of treating the rest as idiots. Thinking of this, everyone's eyes flashed a trace of haze and disdain. Call out. The sound of breaking through the air resounded, and Son Goku's figure quickly came to the area inside the arena. After floating to the ground, Son Goku raised his hand to say hello, "Yo, everyone." However, no one answered him at the moment, including Vegeta is no exception. After all, in the current situation, Son Goku is definitely a bad visitor, and it can even be said to be the reason for his time. The main thing is that if Son Goku were to join them, it would definitely slow them down. You know, in more than half a month, Vegeta and others have made small achievements. If Son Goku were to join at this time, it would definitely slow them down and even make them less likely to succeed. Are you also cold? Son Goku froze for a moment, really embarrassed. He also knew that he had come this time to get advice. I thought that if I said hello to Vegeta and the others, and then they helped to intercede, then Bupa might give him pointers. But never expected. Now Vegeta and the others are completely ignoring his intentions, which makes Son Goku's plan aborted, and he doesn't even know what to do. Subconsciously, Son Goku then asked, Vegeta, how is your cultivation? Can you learn that Ultra Instinct? Hearing this, a black line appeared on Vegeta's forehead. To be honest, he really doesn't know why Son Goku is so although the old Son Goku also has a little ego, but this is still reasonable. At least no matter who it is facing, Son Goku's ego is satisfied. But in the current situation, Son Goku's ego doesn't make any sense either. After all, he didn't surrender to Bupa, which means that he can't get advice, let alone get involved in Ultra Instinct. Thinking of this, Vegeta immediately stopped talking nonsense, and immediately said, Kakarot, what are you doing here? If there is nothing wrong, then please leave this place. We still need to continue to practice. Opening his mouth, Son Goku was choked and speechless. After all, in such a situation, he didn't know what to say. In particular, the three Vegeta looked like you disturbed our practice, which made Son Goku understand that the three of them couldn't help him speak. For a while, Son Goku also had a trace of resentment in his heart. After all, Vegeta's move is definitely a betrayal. How could the three of them follow Bupa to practice and abandon him? Subconsciously, Son Goku scratched his head and said, then what, can I practice with you? The three of you shouldn't cultivate well, right? Why don't you let me help you cultivate together? As soon as these words came out, the three Vegeta looked contemptuous. Practice together? Your face is really big. Such a thing, let alone Bupa. The three including Azer were extremely speechless. After looking at each other, Frieza said unceremoniously, Son Goku, we don't need your sparring here. And I can't wait to cut you into pieces. What qualifications do you think you have to cultivate with us here? As soon as these words came out, Azer came back to his senses, glanced at Son Goku and said, Son Goku, if you have nothing to do, get out. 99. We don't want to practice with you, and we don't plan to have any interaction with you. To be honest, Azer has the utmost contempt for Son Goku. When the 6th universe and the 7th universe fought before, he already knew the conditions that Bupa said. It's more clear that Bupa promised back then that Son Goku would teach him Ultra Instinct whenever he surrendered. But what about the result? Son Goku didn't say anything, not even any intention to respond. Now what? To actually lick your face and come up to learn Ultra Instinct is simply stupid. Seeing this, Son Goku was completely stupid. Although Vegeta didn't say anything, he could see that Vegeta didn't intend to participate in this matter. It would have been considered a kindness to do nothing to him. If it weren't for the good relationship between the two parties, Vegeta might even be more heartless than Azer 0.7 and Frieza. For a time, Son Goku realized that his plan was completely hopeless. But he is not going to give up. After all, Ultra Instinct is what he is eager to learn. Although he had tried it himself during this time, without wise guidance, he could not even touch the threshold, let alone learn. Bupa. Thinking of this, Son Goku subconsciously looked at Bupa who was standing not far away, pondered for a while and said, I'm willing to surrender to you. Can you teach me Ultra Instinct? 99. As soon as these words came out, Vegeta, Azer and Frieza all raised their brows, and then subconsciously looked at where Bupa was. Do they know that Bupa seems to be keen to subdue the others, and if Son Goku surrenders, then it is likely that he will choose to agree. Chapter 348 Arrogant Son Goku, Bupa's Disdain. Ding. The character Son Goku is loyal. Is the host bound? The system beeps loudly. Bupa raised his brows, and after taking a deep look at Son Goku, he didn't answer directly, not for anything else, because he can clearly feel Son Goku's unwillingness, and even the so-called surrender is not his sincerity. System. Subconsciously, Bupa asked, can I check Son Goku's loyalty? Ding. Open the eye of data. The host can view it with confidence. 35. In the next second, Bupa only felt a flash in front of his eyes, and then Son Goku's message appeared in front of him. Son Goku, race, Saiyan, bloodline, inferior Saiyan, combat strength, late stage 7, transformation, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan Dark Blue. Abilities, Kaioken, Spirit Bomb, Dragon Fist Burst. Loyalty, 78. Loyalty. System, are you sure you read it right? 35. After reading Son Goku's information, Boo 20 Pascal's complexion sank, and the whole person was in a bad mood at the moment. I thought that Son Goku surrendered himself and could take this opportunity to generate a wave of rewards. But I didn't expect that this so-called surrender would actually be like this. The mere 78 points of loyalty did not even reach 80 points. This also means that in Son Goku's mind, He is not even a friendly existence. Even in a sense, Son Goku's loyalty to him is still just a stranger's stage. I'm afraid it's not for learning Ultra Instinct. This Son Goku can't say the word surrender. This also means that there is no possibility of wanting to swipe rewards from Son Goku in front of him. If that's the case, why should I waste time teaching him? This is completely wasted effort. I reject. As soon as he thought of this, Bbook immediately raised his head to look at Son Goku and said, I don't see any loyalty in you, so your so-called loyalty means nothing to me. Now, you can leave this place. 35. What? Refused. Hearing this, everyone present was stunned. Everyone was stunned by the sight in front of them, and they never expected that Bbook would reject Son Goku directly. You must know that before this, Bbook had never refused to surrender to any existence. Even Vegeta, who had a grudge against him, accepted it. Why did he choose to reject Son Goku? You know, Bbook has recruited Son Goku more than once before this, so why did he choose to give up? Especially Broly. At this moment, he was even more astonished and unbelievable. After all, before that, he knew how passionate Bbook was about conquering people. Now that Son Goku has voluntarily surrendered, why did Bbook choose to refuse? Just because Son Goku's loyalty can't be seen? How is that loyalty seen? Why? Son Goku couldn't accept it either. He raised his head subconsciously and looked at Bbook and said, I've already surrendered. Why don't you want to point me? Or is it that what you said before was just fooling me? As soon as these words came out, Vegeta and the others also looked at Bbook with puzzled eyes. Why? Am I not clear? Casting a glance at Son Goku, Bbook's eyes flashed a trace of mockery, and then he said, if you are sincere surrender, then I will naturally agree to you, and even instruct you to cultivate. But you know very well in your own heart that your so-called surrender is nothing but casual words. Your real purpose is just to learn Ultra Instinct from me, and once that's done, your loyalty to me means nothing. On the other hand, Vegeta, Azer and Frieza, you can ask them, even if they have learned Ultra Instinct, will they refuse or disobey when I give an order? As soon as these words came out, the audience fell silent. The three of Azer immediately understood why Bbook rejected Son Goku, especially Vegeta. As the most aware of Son Goku's existence, he knew very well that Son Goku's so-called surrender had no effect. It can be said that Son Goku is a self-existence, relying on the aura of the protagonist to do nothing. If Son Goku before the Majin Buu arc still didn't have such a big flaw, then with the opening of the Gods chapter, Son Goku has completely changed. After coming into contact with the power of God, he has long been unable to control his ego. Even this self became more and more natural as he went smoother and smoother along the way. It is because of this that Son Goku's so-called surrender makes no sense, and it is no wonder that Bbook would choose to refuse. After all, if he taught him Ultra Instinct, it was undoubtedly the result of the meat buns hitting the dogs without going back and not even getting any benefits. Son Goku, you are really treacherous. At this time, Frieza was the first to regain his senses, stepped forward and said, you actually want to use Lord Bbook to learn Ultra Instinct, and then get away? Do you really think everyone has to be around you? As soon as these words came out, Aze also looked at Son Goku with contempt. I thought the latter was a good opponent, but I never expected it to be so unbearable. Thinking of this, Aze immediately said, such a disgusting person, you are not qualified to study with us in 290 here. Son Goku, go away, you're not welcome here. As soon as these words came out, Son Goku in the arena turned pale. He was completely unable to understand the so-called surrender and loyalty. Because of this, he couldn't understand Bbook's words, and subconsciously retorted, but we can be friends. 5. As long as it's a friend thing, it's my Son Goku thing. Friend? Hearing this, Bbook laughed. With a disdainful glance at Son Goku, Bbook pointed to Broly beside him and said, do you think you are Broly? If someone in this world will betray me, then I may not know who it will be. But I know the only one who won't betray me is him. Friend, what you call a friend is worthless in front of my eyes. And to be my friend? Do you have enough power? Do you have enough status? The most important thing is that your so-called friend with me, or even help me in the future, is only based on the fact that I teach you Ultra Instinct. So, your so-called friend actually just wants to get what you want, and then help you when you can, but if it goes against your own principles and thoughts, then you will stand by without hesitation. My opposite. Chapter 349 Debunking Son Goku, Heartbroken Son Gohan. Having said that, Bbook glanced at Son Goku, who had an ugly face, without showing any mercy, and continued to say, there is one more thing that can prove what I said. Vegeta, 35. This former enemy of yours even killed your so-called friend, but you still chose to betray your so-called friend in order to find a sparring partner who can match you. 99. Hiss. Hearing this, Frieza and the others couldn't help but take a deep breath, especially Vegeta. He didn't feel anything before, but as Bbook exposed the matter directly, the character set created by Son Goku seems to collapse directly at this moment. Not for anything else, because Vegeta clearly remembers what happened that year. Compared to the self who met for the first time, Kling, Piccolo and others are Son Goku's true friends. But what about the result? Kakarot. Subconsciously clenching her fists, Vegeta gritted her teeth and said, Is this what you're thinking? When you let me go, you just wanted me to be your sparring partner. Hearing this, Son Goku opened his mouth and looked at Vegeta subconsciously to explain something. However, before he could continue to speak, Bupa on the side was the first to say, and after this, you still chose to betray your friends, such as your Super Saiyan 3. I know exactly what the transformation principle of Super Saiyan 3 is. As long as you tell Vegeta the trick, he will be able to complete it in a short time, even stronger than you. But you didn't, because then you already felt that after finishing Super Saiyan 3, you almost reached your limit. You couldn't finish Super Saiyan 4 and you didn't touch Super Saiyan God, so you hid Vegeta, even your own son Gohan. This also led to Vegeta's practice. No matter how hard he practiced, he was still unable to break his own shackles and enter the transformed form of Super Saiyan 3. This also leads to, even if Vegeta becomes Super Saiyan God like you, her own power will always be weaker than you. And in the same way, the main reason why you didn't stop Chi from letting Son Gohan give up martial arts and become a scholar is because you were afraid that Son Gohan would surpass you and even replace you as a pillar in the eyes of everyone. After all, Son Gohan, who is only 12 or 13 years old, has already surpassed you and Vegeta to complete the transformation of Super Saiyan 2. If he has been practicing martial arts, let alone Super Saiyan 3, he may even master Super Saiyan God in advance power. After all, from the moment Son Gohan got mystical state, he had mastered the Super Saiyan with half his foot. Gyudu. With Bupa's words falling, Broly and the others on the court couldn't help swallowing, Broly in particular, looking at Son Goku with contempt at the moment. Is this what you call a friend? Treat your own son like this. What about friends? Son Goku, you are really disgusting. As soon as these words came out, Frieza and others on the side also woke up like a dream. Immediately afterwards, Frieza seemed to have thought of something, and said coldly, no wonder you wanted to breathe for me back then. Because I told you before that, I can survive within the universe. So, you did it on purpose, in order for me to bring more powerhouses to seek revenge on you, so that you will have more opponents. Unfortunately, what you didn't expect was that my father and I would be defeated by future Trunks after arriving on Earth, which also led to your abacus. 35. As soon as these words came out, Vegeta's body shook suddenly. Under Bupa's operation, Son Goku's evil is infinitely magnified. Because of this, Vegeta also thought of some more things at this moment, and said subconsciously, so after learning about the artificial humans from the Trunks, you set your target on them. After the end of the android incident, you didn't direct Son Gohan to practice, but instead allow that stupid woman Chi to let him be a bullshit scholar. 95. It's obvious that you only need Shenron to make a wish to get unlimited money, and you can even instantly transfer to universe to get countless gold and silver mines, but you still have no intention of improving your family's conditions. 5. In addition to self-cultivation, your purpose is to take this opportunity to increase Chi-Chi's control over Son Gohan. Then you found yourself unable to do anything about Majin Buu, and you put your hope in Son Gohan again. But as Son Gohan completes the mysterious state, you find that his power actually surpasses you again, so you still let Son Gohan be a bullshit scholar all these years. If it wasn't for the appearance of Mr. Bupa, I'm afraid that Son Gohan would still be that trash now. Kakarot, you really have a deep mind. As soon as these words came out, the audience fell silent. Everyone was stunned by Vegeta's words, and even their eyes revealed disbelief, especially Aze, who sneered and said at this moment, everyone said that the family concept of my frozen demon race is fragile. 5. But I didn't expect that there was a more unbearable existence in front of me. Although my father is also very ambitious, he never had the intention of killing me, and even in order to cultivate me at all costs to collect treasures from the darkest to the coldest in the universe to enhance my potential. But what about you? Obviously Son Gohan is so powerful, he can surpass you and Vegeta at the age of 12. If he is allowed to practice, I am afraid that he has already surpassed everyone by now. Bang tilde. Almost as soon as Aze finished speaking, a voice, Lanos, came from an area not far away. Looking at the sound, Son Gohan's figure slowly walked out of the area not far away. It's just that his eyes are red at the moment, and the expression of the whole person changes. Obviously he heard the words of Bupa and others before. Dad. Subconsciously shouting, Son Gohan asked unwillingly, is what Lord Bupa said true? Gohan Yong. 35. Seeing Son Gohan appearing, Son Goku was even more stunned at the moment and didn't know how to answer. Although Bupa's statement is a bit exaggerated, there is nothing wrong with many parts. Because of this, Son Goku really didn't know how to explain to Son Gohan in front of him. For a while, the atmosphere in the venue was deadly, and Son Gohan's emotions were completely suppressed after seeing Son Goku's silence. Chapter 350. Pointing Son Gohan, Shameless Son Goku. Son Gohan isn't stupid either. How could he not see what Son Goku's reaction at the moment means? It was because of this that he was even more angry and aggrieved at the moment. That is his own biological father, and he has such careful thoughts, and it can even be regarded as extremely selfish. Thinking that he had studied with Chi all these years, and even once gave up his practice to become a scholar, his face became even more ugly. Gohan, have you successfully cultivated? At this time, Buppa quietly opened his mouth to break the atmosphere in the arena. Son Goku is completely out of the threat. Something is totally unnecessary in this situation. Yes, Lord Buppa. After returning to his senses, Son Gohan gave Buppa a complicated look, his eyes filled with emotion at the moment. Although Buppa explained his purpose from the beginning, it seems that the latter's behavior is much better than Son Goku's, at least from the current situation. Although Buppa expressed his thoughts to make him surrender, there is no other thoughts in essence. Even in such a situation, Buppa is still helping him to become stronger, instead of guarding him like Son Goku. It can even be regarded as a real treat. Thinking of this, Son Gohan didn't think about anything else immediately, and immediately said, Master Buppa, I'm already a Supreme Kai candidate, and according to the old Supreme Kai, I was soon able to fully develop the ultimate power. 99. Once I successfully integrate Supreme Kai power into it, my strength will definitely increase rapidly again. Apostrophe. As soon as these words came out, Aze and the others immediately looked at Son Gohan enviously. Supreme Kai alternate. You can also rapidly increase your own strength. It was definitely a desire for them, but they had learned the gods of destruction, which led them to have nothing to do. Thinking of this, the breathing of those present became heavy. For nothing else, Son Gohan's promotion this time is really a huge stimulus for them. Even while practicing Ultra Instinct, they don't know if their strength has grown. Very good. Nodding with satisfaction, Buppa glanced at Son Gohan, and then said, if that's the case, then you just need to practice and integrate Supreme Kai power into your own Super Ace God transformation. As for the rest of the ascension, then you need, to find the old Supreme Kai. If he can promise to give you the battery earrings, then you have the possibility to go further. Battery earrings. Hearing this, Son Gohan was stunned for a moment, then looked at Buppa in puzzlement and said, Master Buppa, aren't the Nappa Terra earrings fit? Not only him, but everyone around him looked at Buppa in confusion at the moment. Battery earrings. They also all know some information and abilities about it. It is because of this that they are even more confused. They know that the fusion becomes stronger, but this seems to only have the effect of half an hour. Master Buppa. Subconsciously, Son Gohan then asked, can these battery earrings make me stronger? Shouldn't it be a tool that allows people to fit together? As soon as these words came out, Son Goku and the others all focused their attention on Buppa. Not bad. 9. Nodding his head, Buppa didn't hide the tuck, and immediately said, the battery earrings are indeed good for people to fit together. 99. But there is also a more special power in itself, and that is permanent fusion. But it's unlikely that you want to accomplish that, and your only hope is to be Supreme Kai. You're a Supreme Kai candidate now, and if the old Supreme Kai is willing to teach you the battery earrings, then you can find a target for a permanent fusion. However, you need to look carefully for the target of fusion, and it is best to choose an existence with great potential. I see. Permanent fusion. After listening to Buppa's remarks, everyone present couldn't help but gasped. Without him, it's all too unbelievable, even unbelievable. Permanent fusion. This is absolutely appalling for them. Once it can be permanently fused together, it means that Son Gohan's power will be greatly improved again. Thinking of this, everyone's breathing is extremely heavy, and the eyes are hot and envious. I see. Taking a deep breath, Son Gohan's expression became serious, and without any hesitation, he folded his fist and said, Lord Buppa, then I will go to the old Supreme Kai first. 99. After saying that, Son Gohan didn't stay any longer, turned around and walked away in a hurry. For Son Goku, he has nothing to say. Although the latter is his father, Son Gohan doesn't know how to deal with it at this moment. Just like that, Son Gohan's figure quickly left the place. Son Goku. After watching Son Gohan leave, Buppa followed Son Goku's gaze to the side and said, it's time for you to leave here too. 5. I'm here for old Supreme Kai. Hearing this, Son Goku spoke stubbornly. He wasn't going to give up. Although Buppa and others were reluctant to point him, he did not intend to leave either. As long as he can stay in the Supreme Kai world, then he can try to learn Ultra Instinct. Conversely, if he leaves, there is no possibility of learning Ultra Instinct. How shameless. 55. Frieza pouted with disdain in his eyes. After all, Son Goku made it clear that he wanted to stay and learn, which is not good news for them. After all, Buppa didn't intend to teach Son Goku Ultra Instinct, whose existence would only hinder itself. Master. 39. Stepping forward, Aze subconsciously asked, are we going to leave this place? Looking at Son Goku, Buppa knew that this guy was shameless. But he wasn't going to get used to Son Goku, who had deceived him before, which made Buppa extremely sick. He even has me Son Goku to be his helper, but he didn't expect that this guy just wanted to trick himself into learning Ultra Instinct. Thinking of this, Buppa looked at Broly and the others and said, come here. I will take you out of this place and go to other planets to cultivate. Yes. 39. Yes. Agreeing, Aze and the others sighed in relief, and immediately stepped forward. Immediately afterwards, Buppa no longer hesitated, and immediately launched instant transmission to take Azer and the others away from the spot. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, link is in the description. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.